many things I want to say.
Saxius, you like to sit by me.
I want Saxius there so he's always first, and when you go around the horn.
Bear, I mean, does this mean you're a bottom, Bear?
Why? John?
Yeah,
John,
exactly. He's asking my question.
Why are you doing this where it's going to result in, hey, John, nice to meet you? You know, like, what's wrong with you?
Good evening, all. This is Midweek Geek, and as you know, I'm the old geek, and I am joined tonight by Saxius, aka the accounting DM, Sean, aka Major's Musings, Bear, aka Mr. Bottom, and Iman, aka Potential Quandary. Looks like we have a few people multi-streaming us. Is that Bear and is it you, Sean, or Saxius?
Yeah. I quickly added it right before you went live.
You quickly added it. Okay. Right. Goody good, Mr. Bearbot. I don't want to know whether you've got anything on your lower quarters.
You started it.
Yeah, I've started it. Yeah. I'm not sure if you can multi-stream straight away. I think you have to grow to a certain size-ish. I don't know.
I have a goal of producing trash content, and that's what I'm focusing on right now.
No, multi-stream is done through
StreamYard.
It has nothing to do through YouTube account.
There's a blue tab in the upper right says restream to your audience.
Right.
If you can see it, then you can do it.
I guess you have to have some form of you do have to have some form of StreamYard paid account, though, don't you, to do it?
Sure.
No, mine's unpaid.
Well,
No.
You sure? Oh, okay.
I'm
wrong.
Anyway.
I'm wrong. Hello, chat.
First of all, hang on. Why are you cutting us off, Saxius? We've got him dead to rights wrong for once, and he's admitting it. Why would you stop that gravy train?
Topic.
Oh, fucking autistic.
Yes.
And
Your point is not found. Please proceed.
hello, Halakai. Hello, Richard. Hello, you're wrong. And anybody else who's lurking in chat? It shows we have 15 people. Saxius has commented. I'm sure I saw a comment from Sean that appeared and disappeared. Did you?
Yeah, I put in a hello all.
And it's disappeared in mine. Oh well.
No, it's over in mine.
Oh, okay. Hello, King.
Yeah,
Eric.
so any of us who are streaming, if we type in the chat in StreamYard, only
It goes
our
to our
channel will get it. No other channels get it.
Right, Brian's already dived in with a something to possibly discuss. Yeah, that's absolutely right. What do you want me to? Do you want me to hire somebody with this $5? Thank you, Brian.
Well, exchange gold for favors. That's usually what you do when you get back to town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, it's called carousing.
It's a part of Shadow Dark.
Yeah, lots of
Yes.
there's a few games that have carousing tables. Interesting outcomes. Yes. But thank you, Brian. Thank you for the generosity. That's marvelous. That's marvelous. Right, chaps. Any games since we last spoke?
Yes.
God, then, Saxius, seeing as Bear has insisted I move you to being sat beside me like a good front row student.
4 years of my life have now come to a close. I finished my second edition campaign. The players went up against the demonic lich. I couldn't roll anything to save myself, including all of my contingencies, including all of my backups, including throwing a rock at the players. I couldn't get anything to win. I could barely get anything above a 5 for the saves, and the rock's magic resistance, I couldn't roll anything below a 71. It was ridiculous how the players survived it, and I did everything in the open. I hid nothing. I would have murdered them had I had average dice that night. Just average.
That is a fair victory for the players.
That is a very fair victory. They should not have survived. The players sat there and went, our entire plan is to get the small army of Storm and Cloud Giants to get in here. They have got imprisonment prepared, and they know the true first name of the Lich and 3 letters of his second name. We have got him dead for rights if we can just get them close enough to get imprisonment cast upon him. The hell with his phylactery. We can just get him tucked away, and we will shove him into some form of demiplane, and he will never see sunlight again. That was their plan. And instead, I just have the most trashiest rolls in my entire 4-year campaign.
Were the players happy, though?
Oh, they were ecstatic. Honestly, they couldn't believe it. They were over the moon.
Then that's a win for the game.
It absolutely was. It did get to the point where I said, okay, I'm going to take a 5-minute break now. I need to go through all of these notes, all of my spell components, including my contingency plans, because I'd laid like 3 contingency plans on top of each other for the Lich, just to make sure that should something go wrong, I had at least 3 major archways. And I decided, you know what, this is good enough for me to use the nastiest one, where he gets 1d4 rocks to come in, cast their little ritual. The Lich will come back full HP, all of his other spells at the ready, and just blast them. Mind you, I did get off power word kill against one of the players, so there's a victory for my side.
Love how you
Hello,
take
Metro
sides
Roost.
in this.
Hello, Retro Roost. Hello, Raven. Hello, David
Dave
Mills.
versus
Hello,
Taxi.
Cal.
Yeah, I'm not
versus
even
Taxis,
done.
indeed.
I still have my heroic game, which this gentleman couldn't attend to, so I've given him the debriefing, and it was a roleplay session, but someone decided that they were going to start phoning up Strusen, which is the infernal occultist ripoff of John Constantine, except he's not, good in that sense. And they decided that when he asked a simple question of like, am I allowed into your domicile? He said yes.
Oh,
Who boy. Guess what? You've got to get back to IQ. You're going to come back to a whole bunch of what's happened here, why is this going on here, and why are we going there? Have fun, IQ. I like it when I can just set all of this up. It's great. Not to mention, I got the player Jason, who was playing Night Owl. I got him to sit there shivering as he went, I don't want to go below 100 karma. I don't want to go below 100 karma. Stop tempting me. It's great. It is great. I don't even need to kill them with villains. I just need to let them roll. What else have I gotten up to? I have just been psychologically tormenting my 5th edition group because their game's coming up this Sunday, and I'm just reminding them of events that happened in sessions past, and they're going, "Oh yeah, we did that. Why are you reminding us, Oscar? Why?" It's just in case they come back to their beloved fort and things have happened. It's great. I've had a fun weekend.
Sounds like it.
it doesn't sound like he had fun. It sounds like he had stress, man.
What? This is fun for me.
Okay.
This is what I live for. I thrive off whenever the players sit there and go, I can't take it anymore. It's like, good. That means more.
Clearly.
Hello, Ancaster. Hello,
Can't
Sean.
take any more of this. Taking notes of what to do more of.
So, Sean, we have some news about what I'll be doing when I'm staying with you, don't we?
Yeah.
But first things first, let's talk about your games.
Well, I haven't been here in a while, so a lot has happened in the both the OSE and the Night Below games. The Night Below recaps are 10 behind now, so it'll probably be. I'm not focusing on them until after Clericon, then I'll try to blitz them out by the new year. But OSE, there were some developments, some major character death. I won't spoil who. I don't know if there'll be riots or not, but major character death.
No.
Anyway, yeah. So in terms of recent games, yes, last night we did GM Cody's. Bear and I did GM Cody's new Wizards of Shadow City. It's a game that he's writing, and so he's doing the sort of the play test via his channel. We're doing it live, so we streamed that. That was fun. Getting to play in a game with Bear instead of with the GM dynamic. That was new and fun.
Yeah.
So, and we had a Night Below game on Saturday, which ties into your theme today, where not quite a PvP, but one of the guest players, we had a guest player who came in with an assassin. Now, anybody who follows my Night Below recaps knows that the Assassin's Guild was a big part of the early parts of that module. So a guest player came in with an assassin with a mission to just simple information gathering on this group of heroes, plus to retrieve a certain item from the group. And they were successful in retrieving the item and stealing it from the group. So it'll be interesting to see. Our two players already know. The characters do not. She succeeded, but two of the players know. And so there have been discussions about what's kosher and not. And I'm like, well, you guys got to live with it. This is part of the game. And the one player wasn't complaining that it happened. One player was complaining that it wasn't an NPC. It should have been an NPC doing that because it's wrong if a PC does it. It's like, so it'll be more germane to this conversation. But it was a good one. It was a fun one. They're almost finished. Night Below consists of 3 modules, 360-page modules covering the entire arc. The first part is the Evils of Heronshire, and that's it. Next session, the one you will be participating in, John, is the big final battle. So your timing worked out well.
Excellent. Because there'll be a few games I'm participating in that are associated with your
well, yeah, we're trying to arrange that Wednesday session. Neil and Nathaniel are in. I'm trying to draw on some of the others. Can you stay awake on Wednesday night? You're still going to be pretty jet lagged because that'll be a 7 p.m. start. So that's midnight for you.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Just make sure. Yes, I think we'll go shopping for some strong tea or something.
Well, if you stay up the night I pick you up, and your plane's coming in around 7 p.m., right? 7 p.m. Eastern, yeah. So if we can push you to midnight our time, you'd probably just sleep right through, in theory. But you've also signed up for my OSE game at Claricon too, haven't you? So,
yes.
So a week full of gaming. Going to be good times.
Absolutely. Hello, George. We've got a lot of people joining in saying hello. Iman.
Hello.
Gaming.
Hi, everyone. Apologies for my late entry. Gaming. Unfortunately, I missed Heroic on Friday night because I was feeling really, really ill. But Saxius did give me a little recap, and I look forward to dealing with the aftermath of this on Friday. Call of Cthulhu on yesterday was bloody fantastic. At least, if I say so myself. It was a pretty self-contained session. Most of it took part on the carriage of a train and in some dude's office.
Mm-hmm.
But we were traveling from Belgrade to Sofia in Bulgaria. And we noticed that this waiter kept getting people's orders wrong. And we were just thinking, oh, maybe he's just an inept waiter. But we sort of noticed that he was like looking a bit too closely at our table and the notes that we had on the table, and he was taking notes on his own little notepad. So I confronted him as if to say, like, can I help you, mate? At which point he just sped off down the carriage. One of the other waiters or whatever tried to stop him, and he just slashed him in the hand, ran past him. At which point me and another PC run after the guy. We have to pass a dex check, a con check, and a strength check, right?
Yeah, to see how close you end up being to him, yes.
Yeah, and each of us passed 2 out of 3, which meant we were able to keep up with him, but we only had 1 action before he got to act. I tried to shoot him with a 50% chance and missed. William tried to tackle him with a something % chance and missed. He just jumped off the train with all his notes, and as far as we know, he's dead. We don't know what happened. But then the major, I can't remember his name, but the major of the Secret Service or whatever in Bulgaria came up to us and was questioning us. And he learned that me and William were the ones who chased after him. So he called us into his office. And me being brazen and stupid the way I am, I told him possibly a little bit too much information, which made him get suspicious. And John asked me to roll a persuade check, which I failed. And after much umming and ahhing, I said, John, can I ask you for a pushed roll? And John said, okay, what's your reasoning? So I gave him my reasoning. I said, look, he's told us about this group called the Butchers, that they're in Bulgaria and that they're Eastern European. But that doesn't exactly help us because we're in Bulgaria. We need some identifying things that we know who to look out for or whatever. So John said, okay, yep, good enough justification. Roll again. I had a 25% chance and I got a 9.
So you
John went, you lucky bugger.
Yeah, because you would have been arrested, you'd have had your gun removed, or you'd have been in a lot of trouble. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. But the dice were on my side.
They were. They were.
So he ended up giving us a lot of information and a lot of very useful information. And I got my gun back.
Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah, it was a fairly short session last night. But we were just sort of finishing Belgrade and moving up to the beginning of Sofia, where we're going to have a little bit of a break from that side of the campaign, because obviously I've got Clericon coming up. So next week we're going to be making characters, and then after Clericon, we're going to be running through the Blood Red Fez. And then we'll resume with Sofia once that's completed. Those who don't know, the Blood Red Fez is a Victorian era prequel to it. So it's
About
really
30
good
years
adventure.
before?
Yeah, it's a really good adventure. This will be the 4th time I've run it. And it's really good. Love it. Love it. Bits.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And then there was, of course, Codex Albana. But
Yeah. It seems like Iman was so excited about Call of Cthulhu, he forgot all about Codex Albana on Saturday.
I didn't
That's
forget. I can't give a good enough recap.
Sir.
I can't give a good enough recap. What the fuck do you want from me?
I don't know. Maybe a Cthulhu level recap once in a while would be nice. Jeez.
Brother,
I can watch
chance.
the playthrough.
I haven't had a
you
chance
weren't
to
well
pick up on the
you
stream
weren't
yet.
well enough to play. You weren't well enough to play Heroic on Friday. Your internet wasn't well enough for you to play on Saturday.
I wasn't well enough to play on Saturday, but I wasn't being the reason that it was postponed again.
No.
Well. Get
Maybe
down on your
Bear
hands and
could-
knees and thank God Cody was there. Otherwise, you guys would have died on that beach.
Yep.
Maybe
I was
Bear could-
thirsty in that chat. Oh boy, I was calling for death.
Hello, Andy. And hello, RPG Grandma and Jay. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
I didn't
And
know
maybe-
if you'd already talked about it before I got here, so.
No, we haven't. No.
Oh, damn it.
No. I think Bear could fill us in, or do you want me to fill?
Actually, I'm going to leave that one for you and talk about the other stuff I did, since I know
Okay.
it was a big event for you. Let's see. Well, other than that, we had the heroic game on Friday night, which was a lot of fun, and the campaign took a step forward that they don't even realize they've taken yet, which is going to be really fun. They are currently arguing backstage about what the name of their superhero team is going to be, and that's just comedy gold. And watching that argument happen is genius. Then Saturday we had Codex Albana. Sunday I had my Savage Swords Against the Outer Dark, and boy, oh boy, I got to kill a player and revive him in the same session, which is always fun. Just when you get to rip them and watch the player just sit there with this look on their face. Like, I'm not going to give you anything. You get nothing from me. But it's like the fact that you're being stoic shows me that I've touched you. And then Monday night, we did the session 0 for my upcoming Cyberpunk game, which was a lot of fun. Really getting into Cyberpunk again, which has been a few years. And those of you who watch are going to find out why I run Cyberpunk for myself, not for the players. They're just in the way of the bullets and the plots. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There's no such thing as player agency in Cyberpunk. There is just make extra characters because you never know when you're going to die. And then last night I got to play as a player in the Wizards of Shadow City game with Sean, and it was good times. We had a lot of fun, and Sean and I bounced really well off each other, and it was a hoot, as the kids say, a hoot, and that's about the extent of it all. There you
Quality.
If
I need
you're
to
curious,
on that.
check out GM Cody's channel for Wizards of Shadow City.
go. Indeed,
He's not here to push him, so we'll push for him.
indeed.
So,
Was
my
you
gaming.
two Bunny and Zane,
Oh, sorry.
right?
And furthermore, none of you that are going to Claricon are playing in my heroic game. So I got 6 strangers I'm going to be playing with. This should be fun.
Enjoy. Yeah.
First time I've ever run a con game in my life. Probably will be the last time.
I've got 8.
In my life.
Oh.
I said to Dungeon Minister, 4, 5, 6 maybe. 8.
I said 4.
I'm beginning to think this is a rite of passage for him. He does it because he did that to me last year. I requested a cap of 6. I ended up with 8. So
Just kill 2. Just start off.
you have
Just
to kill
stop.
the players to keep the number down. Otherwise, they just keep respawning new characters.
Yeah, just kill 2.
Players?
What are the laws regarding ritual sacrifice in Canada?
Yeah, it's frowned
Just,
upon.
yeah, just get into character. It's just method acting.
We'll be playing in the basement of a church, so it might be a little flexible. I don't know. We'll see.
So my gaming couldn't play on Saturday afternoon because of work. Played in Codex Albana, Bears streamed game where we've switched across from Palladium to Cthulhu Dark Ages. And I think that switch has been rather seamless because the game seems to flow even faster with really quick resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
We shipwrecked. We made an absolute pig's ear of getting off the ship and back onto dry land. Several of us nearly drowned. When we did get on dry land, we were attacked by a large group of enemies, and our knights, being a bit dickheadish and overly brave, stood their ground and fought. And Cody sort of came to our rescue. And the manner in
King's sword.
a king's sword, the king's sword is marvelous. But the manner in which Cody did it is, if you haven't seen the stream, it's well worth watching. I'm not going to reveal exactly what he did, but let's just say the campaign has taken a darker turn.
Yeah, it's gone from medium roast to dark roast real fast.
Very much so. Very much so. It got a little bit gruesome. But it was bloody marvellous. And Cody is a damn fine player. Hello, Tabletop Corner. I don't know if Cody is here, but his ears may burn. He may pop in. And as a result, as a reaction to all the things that were going on, Max was like, screw this, ran away.
Yep.
Yep.
The king just noped the fuck out.
The king just noped. Yeah, nope.
But then he slipped and messed up his knee on a rock, didn't he?
But we're in a situation now where we have a couple of characters very, very close to death.
Me.
As in, as in, it could already be gone beyond help.
Oh, no. If I had understood the death rules in Call of Cthulhu 7e, there would have been more damage done to them. I was of the impression below 0 hit points, you're dead. And then you're like, actually, now you're dying and anything. And then you can go over and you can do that. And I'm like, well, this takes all the gravitas out of the situation. They get to live longer than they should.
No, you meant to string it along a little bit and give them those.
No. I wanted to make it brutal and bloody and offensive.
Yes.
That's okay. Cody picked up the slack real quick.
Okay. That's fair enough.
And Navri was just gurgling blood. So
yeah, there was a lot of blood, a lot of gore, and there was it got horrific. So if that's your thing,
I like the tone shift though.
And then what happened? Was it horrific after that?
Was it?
Well, okay. There was the beach, and then what happened after the beach?
What Cody with his
Go on.
horrificness?
And
What am I forgetting?
you went into ire.
We did. Yeah. Oh yes. I don't want to reveal all the plot bits, but yeah, we met some people who probably could have been helpful, but I think we pissed them off.
You guys were not exactly nice to them. I'll give you that one.
No, they could have been really useful, but no, I think we pissed them off. Yes. Yeah.
And by we, you mean who?
It wasn't just me.
No, this time you can't blame it all on Devere.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But
I
you
wasn't
did
the
get
only
to
one.
meet a large number of fey creatures, and
did.
even a
We did.
unicorn, and the Ketakoi, the queen of the forest, wife of the hunter, who came to help you, and you guys just pissed her off as fast as humanly possible, and she sort of bid you adieu and went on her way.
That was, I mean, did a bit of that.
Or
I
Devere.
think, and Devere, yes. I mean, okay. He's a devout Catholic. Doesn't agree with all this.
The group never ceases to amaze me.
He doesn't
Oh,
agree with.
they snatch defeat from the jaws of victory time after time after time.
I honestly, I am amazed, absolutely dumbfounded how they have lived this long.
Do you seriously expect a cloistered, devoutly Catholic knight to react positively towards someone who's openly professing pagan beliefs?
Do you
I expect you
think
to know that your survival is at stake.
let's talk about your devout Catholic knight for a moment, if we will. Oh, look at that! You got yourselves a $10.
I have.
Even
Thank
bear
you.
half the time. Wow! Always nice to get insulted for money.
Any of us on Green App? What's Green App?
What's Green App?
Does he mean WhatsApp, or is that a different thing?
I don't know.
Looking
It
it
might
up.
be WhatsApp.
Anyway, back to the point of you, Devere.
Yeah.
You
Cheers,
literally,
Jack.
your character has seen magic is real. All these things that the church tells him are bullshit and evil have existed and have been nicer to him than anybody in the church or his own people have been. And he's still such a stick in the mud, asinine ass that he's just refusing to go, oh, perhaps the world has a larger perspective than the one I was raised with. No. They're all wrong. Anyone who consults with witches must be burned, and we must also burn this forest because clearly it's full of fairy folk and they are the devil.
He's become even more in denial, is what's happened.
I'm just going to say, at risk of offending people in chat, he's an old school Catholic. What do you expect?
I'm offended.
Character growth?
It's not going to change. The more you try.
I'm with you. I am with you. Anyway, neither here nor there. But it's always fun, John. Thank you.
Was it less
It is
frustrating
always
this time,
fun.
Saxius?
There is nothing more exciting than running a game, Saxis, where you go, okay, I'm going to present this situation, and the players should react thusly, but Devere is part of the equation, and
I know.
Is part of the equation.
I've had
is just as bad.
I've had him in one of my games. He has done exactly that, and it took me 6 to 7 sessions before I started figuring out how that head of his was ticking after throwing a number of very small. It's like a chicken. It clocks. So eventually,
I thought it just gurgled nonsense every now and then.
No, when you throw the right kind of feed at it, he will go exactly where you want him to go. But you gotta get into that headspace, which is not always fun.
We'll compare notes later.
Yeah.
You tried thinking like John, and you realized that you don't want to do this.
No,
Ow, it hurts.
Thank you, RPG Grandma. Thank you.
Oh, if you guys survive, there are so many surprises coming for Devere that are going to make him just probably want to fall on his own sword.
Either way,
looking forward to it.
Same.
I grab a package at the door. I look forward to this conversation off of this topic now.
So we played Call of Cthulhu last night. I played another game, and we had a guest DM run a game on Monday because our regular DM wasn't very well, and it was an odd game. Wasn't really my thing, but I had some fun. I played a halfling cleric by the name of Phi, and his surname was Vsux. So they worked out straight away, 5 Vsux. It was very childish of me. He was a cleric with no healing spells, no intention of being a healer at any point, and he spent the whole time quoting from the Book of Gygax. So I sat there in the game with my AD&D books in front of me, quoting things from various writings of Gygax.
Anyone who reads this book deserves nothing short of an honorable death.
So there we go. And we played Call of Cthulhu last night. It was a lot of fun. And it's one of the reasons why I came up with this topic tonight, because there were a couple of moments in that game where the party split up. And in the previous session, we had our first real sort of hints of a bit of player versus player. And when you read a lot of things about playing RPGs, isn't rule number 1, don't split the party? And rule number 2, no PvP? Something like that? Are those rules fair? Are those rules logical?
Oh, I know what you're referring to. Okay, right.
So we're going to go with initially splitting the party. Don't split the party. It's a mantra that is drummed into players up the world over. But as a DM, I rather like splitting the party. When I've seen it described negatively, it's mainly because the party should be a cohesive unit, working together for a common goal. And obviously, when they're separated, they're not as cohesive. They're missing key components that make the whole work. But also, I've seen it, heard it said, it's not really fair on the DM having to run separate people, and it's no fun when certain people are off doing other things. On that second point, I beg to differ, because I think some of our best role-playing moments in our Call of Cthulhu game on a Tuesday is when certain players have been given their own little moments with NPCs, things. I mean, like last night, we had a lovely little conversation between the professor on the train and Andy's character. And we had a great little action scene when Buck and William went chasing after the dodgy bloke on the train who'd slashed somebody. And then at the end, when you were being interviewed by the sergeant, because you were the two who were there. And we got some really good role playing out of that. And it probably is because it feels more intimate, more personal.
Yeah, so I think because the spotlight is being shared between less players, that gives more of a spotlight to each of us individually, and then the two of us as a duo and how we role play with each other and with the NPC.
Yeah.
It's not like there's too many people trying to talk over each other all the time.
Absolutely.
With each other.
Go on, Bear.
No, that's Bear. What winds up happening.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially on a stream game.
Absolutely. Bear, at the start of Codex Albana, the party was well and truly split. But that was a really good heavy roleplay session because we all had our little moments in the spotlight as we came together as a cohesive party. So
indeed.
So the whole don't split the party thing, I call bullshit on that.
Talk and bullshit.
Absolutely.
Say that again. Sorry.
Nonsense.
Okay, I didn't hear what you said. Yeah.
It is the same as saying don't pick up any wooden nickels. It has no absolute merit anymore in our society. It's a funny thing to say when you're starting out as new players and you're all playing in the teenage game. Stick together. Don't split the party. First of all, if you think this is a party, man, you've made some bad choices in life because there's no cake. And the gifts are mostly deadly. But more importantly than that, mature players know how to let other players have some spotlight and do their thing and not interject themselves into everything. They know how to sit back and watch. So like, hey, Saxis' character is talking to his contact. You know what? I'm going to watch. I might learn something about Saxis' character. It might be an interesting thing to see. Okay, oh, it's my turn. I'm going to be doing my thing now. Great, I'm going to do my thing. Okay, it's done. Oh, now it's Sean's turn. Okay, cool. And we did that in Codex Albana right at the start. I rarely, if ever, start any game with everybody lumped together. I tend to try and start my games with people split up so they get to do some role-playing, figure out their voice, figure out their feet, and then come together as characters with a little bit more identity as to who they are. Once you're playing, if you're in a D&D campaign in dungeons, well, don't split the party is probably pretty good advice, because you're going to get killed and then no one can help you, blah, blah, blah. Or you're going to aggro something and then bring it back on the rest of the group. Totally get that. But if you're doing a dirty, filthy story game, split the party all the time, often, as much as you need. Don't look for reasons and excuses to bring people on missions. One of the things I've seen in Star Trek from Modiphius that I like, but it's something we were doing already years ago, was the idea that everybody had the troop style play. Everybody should have a red shirt PC as a backup PC. So, hey, we're all beaming down to the planet, and John's the captain. He's got to go. And Saxius is the science officer. He absolutely needs to go because it's a science thing. But Sean's helmsman and IQ's engineer have no business going down on this away mission. So they're going to dust off Ensign Skippy and Ensign Goofy, and they're going to be the two guards going with them for this one. And if the players aren't into that, if they're not willing to have that type of a mentality, then they should not play those types of games. It's as simple as that. Don't play games that encourage things you don't like as part of the game. And then you won't have a hard time. You won't piss off the rest of the players. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm going to sit this one out. But if you stick to the ideas of never split the party and never should players have conflict with each other, you're just limiting your options and reducing your role-playing potential. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
Does anybody else have something to add? Or are we all in agreement on this one?
I think we're all in agreement. I mean, it does stem from...
I disagree.
It does stem from a gamer mentality of, hey, we're here to cooperate and win the game, as opposed to we're building a story, we're playing characters and people with opinions and people who get into, who butt heads and have conflicting ideas of how to solve a problem. So they're going to go their own way. To hell with the rest of the team. Whereas, people who are playing the game to win are like, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that, you got to do this, you have to do your part, and everybody stick together, and then that becomes the rule, that becomes the thing you have to do. And if you go away from that, or if you're a DM who allows people to go away from that, you're a terrible DM, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's what it comes from, is this idea of you are going to try to win the game as opposed to play the situation, play the characters.
So, as DMs, what do we get from splitting parties? We've already mentioned that startup that Bear had, Bear runs, where people get to know their characters, and I think it's beneficial for the DM as well, not to have little personal moments with each character during the game, because when people are role playing together as a group, and I'm talking about at a table. They may be in character all the time. There'll be a bit of talking over one another, but it's obviously easier to do so when you're at a table. When you're playing a stream game or an online game, it's all done by voice. It can get frustrating. But it's very difficult for a DM to catch every little nuance of what everyone's saying. Mm-hmm. And the time I feel a DM learns about a character most is when you have those little moments where you're talking in character using an NPC or whatever, and really sort of probing the player, a particular player. And I think it's also a really good way to get quieter players out of their shell. Give them that little personal moment. Encourage them to just talk to you. Maybe they're not comfortable shouting over everybody else. So you focus the spotlight on a quieter player and give them that time, and it helps bring them out of their shell. Iman was fairly quiet when he first started playing.
I was just about to say. Now I want to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yes, Sean.
Exactly. And I think a lot of players are. It's a natural thing for a lot of people when they're starting out role playing with a role play heavy group. It takes time to get used to thinking like somebody else. You feel self-conscious.
Yes, definitely at first.
And it helps. Having little split side moments with them really helps people get over that self-consciousness. So, Saxius, you've been quiet so far.
I mean, what do you want me to say?
What are your feelings on, as a DM, splitting the party? You can be as evil as you like here.
Sure. I mean, if you're in the dungeon, you get what you deserve. If you are in a hostile city, you get what you deserve. If you are out in the wilderness and you don't have any survival capabilities or tracking, you get what you deserve because I will roll that percentile chance for you to get lost. Not my problem. That's a you problem for going away from the party. You gotta pick your moments when you split from the group. If you start wandering off in the middle of the woods or out while you are in the hills to go and look for something, you gotta make sure or specify to me, because I'm detail oriented, that you are not going very far from the group, that you're going within sight or within a certain distance so that you can make your way back. Otherwise, you just keep going and I will roll because you didn't say it. That means you're not setting a limit for your character. And you, as a player, even if you're playing a high wisdom, high intelligent character, you can still make these mistakes.
Of course.
You're not going to be beyond these things. So I will definitely keep your feet close to the fire. But at the same time, there are moments where you need to split the party. Imam, I'm going to pick on you.
Go ahead.
In the heroic game, every time you've found a stronghold of villains or a stronghold of mooks, what have you done?
Me, I've always gone to scout it out.
So you left the party.
Well, the party are nearby.
You're not with them. They are nearby, yes. My point is you are splitting the party to do a reconnaissance. You're
Yes.
making use of the abilities that your character has, that your hero has, because you could become invisible, no different than a wizard or no different than a very good rogue.
Mhm.
You're able to go out and do these things. There are times where you have to do it. There's also times where you don't want the paladin to be tagging along, or you don't want the good aligned cleric to tag along, especially if you're going to be going into the seedier parts of a town because you need information or you need to gather up on your contacts. It's very simple. There are moments where the role play dictates that it is better for you to do this because if you are going to be having, again, I'm going to use the paladin. If the paladin is going to be walking around hoity-toity in the slums, there's going to be trouble because his boots is worth more than his life. And it's a lot easier to backstab a paladin, especially when you've got a quick gang of thieves that can surround him. My point is that you got to be clever about these things.
Yes. What
So-
I mean, yeah. Go on, Sax. Just keep going.
No, like that's really like bringing it home. As a group, you got to know your own limitations. As a group, you've got to be able to, without verbally saying it, you got to be able to build that connection. Now that means you, as a group, both in and out of character, you've got to establish that rapport amongst each other about here's how we play, here's the strengths, here's the weaknesses. But this is me talking. I am very numerically oriented when it comes to these things, so I often break down a group cohesion to its optimal function.
I think as a DM, it's a tool in our arsenal to break down group cohesion and force players and characters out of their comfort zone, and it can make for a refreshing change in the game. Otherwise, you can have the situation where certain characters are doing the same thing over and over and over again because that is their defined role. If the character with that usual defined role is suddenly somewhere else, other characters have got to try and do it, and they're not so good at it, and that can be a lot of fun. Failure is always good. Failure can make for interesting story beats. Hello, not your echo. Don't split the party is just gamer speak for employ good survival strategy. Correct. And you're absolutely right. Yes, it is a dangerous fantasy world. Yes, they should be working together. But we're mostly DMs here, with the exception of Iman. And Iman has really sort of learnt the story gaming side of things rather than the traditional D&D side of things. He played a little bit of OSC to begin with, but most of his gaming has been Call of Cthulhu, Codex Albana, and now
I've played more heroic than
No,
OSD,
heroic.
mate, and I started playing heroic a few months ago.
yeah. So I think all of us here can see the benefits of getting a party split up because I want to put character. I want to see the wizard out of spells, desperately leaning on a weapon that he's not very good at, or the bumbling fighter with not much intelligence having to talk his way out of a difficult situation, or the cleric having to make a tough choice that might not entirely be something that his superiors in the church would like to know about. I want to make those sort of things happen because I think they make the game more interesting. And I think the game has moved away from that idea of each character having their own niche. And think about it, old D&D, each character had their own niche. And you could, if you split the thief away from the party and threw traps at the party, it could become very interesting what they come up with. In that, now when you see more modern versions of D&D, everybody can find traps. Everybody can disable traps. So don't think it quite has the impact now. Don't think it quite has the impact. It's more mechanical in the sense of can they cope with the upcoming fight, which is a little bit sad, in my opinion. One other thing about the little party split we had last night was a group of characters needed to discuss a delicate topic out of the earshot of another character. Isn't that right, Iman?
Oh, yes.
We have a character who's gone off the rails, as I've mentioned a few times. And the other characters are becoming a little bit nervous regarding his actions. So they had to split away and have a little chat about how they approach what he does in the future.
Are you talking about Andy?
Yes.
Of course.
How did you guess?
I don't know. It's like it was a code word or something.
Yeah, but that was with Andy being a mature role player. He didn't have to go and sit in a different channel while this was happening because we trust him to behave himself. But it made for a very interesting little back and forth between the other characters. I wish Manfred had been there because I think he would have got well involved in that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because there's been a little bit of trouble brewing between Oliver, Manfred's character, and Harold, Andy's character. All sparked by Andy, basically. But that's been sort of bubbling under. And it allowed me to just sort of sit back and think, just smile at the way everyone's characters are coming together, developing, how it's obvious that the players care about their characters, which is a dangerous thing in Call of Cthulhu. So, has anybody else got anything to add on splitting the party? Because I did wonder whether it'd be a quick topic we'd blast through.
Well, I think it's important to say that, you know, when we say that never split the party is bad advice, we're not saying always split the party either.
Of course,
like anything, it has its place, and you want to treat characters as characters. And to my point earlier, you know, get the gamer brain out and just think situation. And as you say, there are advantages from a role playing perspective where you can isolate and give people moments to shine. The trick with it is in parceling out the time. You can't give somebody too much time where other people are just sitting for half the game twiddling their thumbs. You have to be mindful of how much attention everybody gets.
I think it depends how often you do it and the manner in which it's done. But yes, try and keep it down to sort of 5 or 10 minutes. Nobody wants to sit back and let the party thief, scout, rogue, whatever they're called in whatever system you're running, ranger, tracker, whoever. In order to let that character shine, you've got to let them do their thing, the sneaking around ahead of the party, whatever. But if they're doing it all the time and hogging the session, it can become a little bit tedious. So, yeah, you've got to find ways of making sure the spotlight stays on people for 5 or 10 minutes at a time, and the players should be adult enough to accept it's going to happen.
Or
Any more than that.
if they start, saying, "Oh, but I want to," you just go, "No, just shush, just shush," and then they sit back down. Because in my experience, there's also going to be time where they aren't adults, and you are going to be the adult, and you're going to have to do what my wife does in school, and tell the kids it's not your turn. You're not holding.
You're not holding the conch.
You're not holding the thing. It's been passed to the next person. Shush, shush. I'm not speaking from experience, of course.
Yeah, no, of course not. While I am diametrically opposed to the talking stick games, and I have the stick, it's my turn to speak. Last night, Sean did something that I thought was quite brilliant. And I'm sure we know a couple of people be like, he went 4D. Doesn't matter. He did a good thing, which was basically his character and Zane's characters were together. And we all know at this point, we're starting to realize we had to go find Bunny's character from the clues we're getting, even though our characters hadn't learned it yet. We as players knew what was up. So he had a moment where he was researching information in a book for Zane's character. And he went, "Oh, the page has been missing. Someone's tore the page out of my book." He didn't talk to Cody about this beforehand. They didn't plan it out. He just did it. But I know someone who can find the book for me. And he calls my character, because my character is a private investigator that he uses to find stuff, and inflicts me with the task of finding the book with the page and bringing it to him. And therefore brought the characters together. So we weren't stuck just in a group of 2, a group of 1, and then one person waiting. Got us together, plot picks up, speed goes faster. And then by the end, we get to where we need to be. We get to the fireworks factory, and that was a really good player moment. Taking the split party, forcing it together, resplitting it a little bit in a way, but once we all got together, we're all on the same track. We're all on the same road.
And did it in a way that helps bind the party.
It literally did give us a reason to be around each other, which was quite nice.
Yes. I think Per's not wrong saying, I think the definition of fun is highly subjective. It changes from player to player. And players who love watching that one player have the spotlight for 30 minutes at a time. Yeah, that can happen. I think it's rarer. You can't assume it's going to be a good thing. Knowing everyone's definition of fun is not wrong. You've got to do that.
Hang on, I just spilled my coffee. I'll be right back.
Oh, hello, Peter. Hello, Nerdy Ogre. Palladium rocks. We were running Palladium for Codex Albana. We're not anymore. We're running something a little bit quicker. But hello, RPG Dad. Who else has joined us? The K5K. There's Elfbait.
For Nerdy Ogre, all I can say is we were playing Palladium. We got better. Now we're fine.
So, chat. Anything you want to tell us about splitting the party? Anyone got any anecdotes about amusing party splits?
There's always it's almost more fun when the party splits up for reasons, especially a legitimate reason. I have so many stories that I have to think about it. Usually it happens because they decide to split. They go into teams. Okay, team A, you got to handle this. Team B, you have to handle this. And they realized they needed to swap out. One player had the skills that team A needed, and the other had team B. And they're like, "Damn it, we organized wrong." That can be fun.
Yeah, taking the characters out of their comfort zones and making them do things they don't normally do, and that's part of the fun. Your Elfbait says his party kicks his ass as a GM by using tactical splits.
Yeah. Well, everything has its place.
And then there's when you're up against time as a group. You don't always need to walk around every town as a group all the time when you're doing your shopping, going to the pub.
Imagine your average role-playing group and what they always describe their characters like and how they visually appear. And now just imagine them roaming around some small British town at night,
Yeah.
That's
attract some attention.
Did when I did Ravenloft, having a Dragonborn in the group certainly had some eyes drawn towards that group. They're like, "Oh, you You are weird. What are you doing around here?
And of course, the rest of the party are now associated with that
Oh, yeah.
strange creature.
Lovely. Which is,
So,
but it's also something like where it can be the complete opposite of where, like, what's called, because they've got all this mishmash, it's the exact group where someone's going to go, that is a bunch of absolute weirdos. Look at them walking around, full armor, swords at their sides. We need them. They must be either able to do something or they must be crazy enough to do something. And they get approached by all these crackhead wizards. They're like, hi there, I've got an abandoned tower that's about 150 miles away from town. Oh, I don't have a lot of details to really give you. I just know that the shadows are alive. The crypts are being roamed by some white king, and yeah, I just need you to go and get the book that's at the bottom of that dungeon. Just there's a couple of coins. You'll do it, right? There's like money. Yes.
is Saxis' sound playing up for anybody else? Was it just me?
No, it's fine. I heard him.
Oh, it might just be me. I'm hoping my sound isn't playing up tonight. I got the gist. I think it's also an opportunity as a DM to present a party with multiple quests.
Looks like someone's going to be leaving the chat real soon.
Oh, my. Okay. Yeah. Let's. Uncle Harley, whoever you might be.
Bye.
Bye.
Split the party. You can go on your own adventure now, Uncle Harley.
Bye. Yeah. I think Sean, I mean, your party have got multiple quests on the go.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how they got. I can't remember how they got. Did you ever sort of split the party and then give them each character a different quest and then have them all converge and argue over what quest they need to do?
I've done it, but not recently that I can remember.
I think that's an opportunity.
It can be for sure, and once in a while, things will come up that players will want to do, but I don't necessarily assign them quests. The most recent thing, actually, sort of semi-splitting the party. We have the Night Below group. One of the paladins has a treasure map to a Holy Avenger. So, and it's away from Night Below. It's away from Heronshire. So they're actually going to assemble their suicide squad, and the players, they're going to decide which characters are going after that. So they're splitting the troop in that regard, but it's not splitting the party, if you know what I mean. They're all going to go on that mission. But they've all agreed that, this is a mission they want to accomplish. So, but individually, they haven't to split a party like that. Usually, if they have individual quests or individual goals, whether or not I've assigned it, they'll discuss and negotiate about what they want to tackle as a team.
That's something we've been doing in Gene's OSE game on the Discord, and some of the party got the quests at separate times to others, and then we have sort of converged and had to sort of decide which quest we're gonna do or which plot hook we're gonna follow, and I think it makes for sort of it makes it a bit of interesting and toing and froing, and you start to see who the dominant players are in the group. Anything more about? I mean, it can save you time when you're in town. You can split up and get things done. But Nerdy Ogre mentioned before the idea they all work together in a dungeon. They all split up when they go to town, and there's an opportunity for an ambush.
Well, when you're in the dungeon, the ideal is, yes, you will be cohesive most of the time. But once in a while, you will have to split up. You have to send somebody scouting or two people scouting, or maybe you get separated deliberately. They don't decide to split the party. Portcullis comes down right in the middle of the group, and two separate groups have to find different ways out. Things like that can happen too. So, when you're in the dungeon, it's logically cohesive to not split the party. It's just the never word in there. Somebody quoted up thread.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
never is a strong word. You will have to, and you will want to every once in a while. But yeah, stick together. Use what's optimal.
Yes. Right. So I mean, that's pretty much that topic covered. So let's go on to the other one, and this one can be a little divisive, and that's the idea of party conflict. Player versus player. It doesn't have to be physical conflict. It can simply be arguing, bickering, characters trying to exert their will over other characters. We've had a lot of that in Codex Albana.
Next up on understatement of the year.
We haven't had any physical fights between the characters, though. We've drawn a line at that.
Oh, you've come so close.
Yeah,
So close. There is
We're
a
adults.
fight between Devere and Navri on the horizon without fail.
I've just won that fight.
No, because you're not going to have the king's sword forever, dumbass.
Because Iman just dropped out, but no, he dropped out because of his own incident.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, X9 Prime.
Any hilarious screenshots?
Sorry,
No, don't think so. But we're talking about the party being a cohesive unit.
Yeah, well, okay, but hang on. I'm talking about a part of being a cohesive unit. Since you brought it up and you threw Codex Albana on the table for this one, who is the uncohesive part of the party in Codex Albana? Iman, would you mind telling us which character is the one that doesn't play well with others? Oh, look at that. So you are the cause of the thing that you are discussing, right?
Yeah.
Now, have I stopped you from doing that?
No.
Have I encouraged you not to do that?
No.
No, because you're players. Figure it out. Your characters have to figure out how to survive together.
Mhm.
This idea of I don't allow player versus player. Well, that is a grand proclamation. And if that's what your group wants, fantastic.
Mhm.
Fill your boots. Have a good time. But for my games, players are characters. They're going to squabble. They're going to scrap. Eventually, Wolverine and Cyclops are going to have a throwdown over Jean. It's just the way it is. And let it happen.
Yeah.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
And
As long as
that's
your players are-
exactly what gets Saxius to tear his hair out on the reruns.
Then I'm even happier it happens.
Listen, I shout at my radio when I drive back from work, when I listen to the playbacks, when the party is not focusing on moving to the next objective, when I am listening to 30 minutes of back and forth squabbling between two characters, I sit and I go, what am I doing? Why are they here? Why have they not achieved 30 minutes of objective progression? I shout at my car. I look like a maniac.
I offered you a chance to play in the campaign, but you turned me down, so you have only yourself to blame, just like he does.
I know.
I have an idea for new videos for you, Saxius. You got to record yourself listening to other people play and screaming at them.
Yeah.
Rage reactions, please. Yes.
Deal reaction videos. Yeah. Just me shouting, sometimes in Danish, mostly in English, just going, what?
Oh, the Danish will make it even get more views.
Say it all in English except for when you swear. Swear in Danish.
Yes. Just for added effect.
I would watch that show.
That's what I would. I would argue, though, Saxius, you're saying about no progress. I think the game is making progress, but in terms of character development, interaction.
In terms of dirty, filthy
3 sessions in a row?
Okay,
Always.
3 sessions. Let's talk about 3 sessions in a row there, Mr. Man. In the last 3 sessions, what have they achieved?
They have been moving forward. I'm not gonna go back on that. You're right. But 3 sessions in a row where I think, okay, you can still accomplish more, you can push yourself further. That's where my head is going. But then again, I don't like PvP. And I openly say as a DM, don't bring PvP to my games. I'm not the DM for that. Because I've lost friends over PvP. So I'm not interested.
And that's fine. Having the Gene Roddenberry mentality, there's nothing wrong with it. It served Star Trek The Next Generation quite well.
Yeah.
But I have the TOS mentality, which is, every now and then you got to bust a guy in the chops to get it done. And I'm waiting for someone to bust DeVere's chops. Oh my God, here it is on the table. I will give bonuses to any player that finally puts DeVere's dick in the dirt.
Navri's taking notes. But I think part of the reason that the the PvP between, let's say, Navri and Devere works is because us both as players are on really good terms with each other. So we know that none of it is serious.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So therein lies the key. Therein
Yes.
lies the key, is that level of maturity and familiarity. Because yes, PvP will ruin friendships. It will ruin games unless the players come in expecting that it's kosher, and you'll get people who can and know how to react. So if Bear is poking my character, and because we're at opposite points of a moral spectrum or whatever, and we're poking, and I can poke back, and then the game ends and we're like, that was a funny moment, then it's all good. But once people start taking it personally, because a lot of people play this game, their character is an extension of them. It's their avatar in the world, and what happens to the character happens to them. They take it personally. Those people should not be doing PvP.
Well, technically, those people
Correct.
shouldn't be role playing in the first place.
Well,
I will say now, even though, I mean, I have played Devere as being a stuck-up asshole the whole time.
Have you hadn't noticed?
There has never been a single moment when I've considered him physically attacking another player character.
I wish the other characters could say the same, but I assure you, there have been moments where you've almost been turned into a newt.
Yeah, Navri thought about running you through once, but he's too honourable for that.
Oh yes, of course you are. Of course you are. And Devere, I would say Devere knows it, but Devere is actually quite stupid. So no.
He may very well hold a sword up to your throat, though. Like, he's not averse to that.
Yeah. So I think what Sean said is absolutely spot on. You've got to know your players, and that's it. Elfbait's been saying in chat. You've got to know your players. You've got to know the players who will cope with it, will react maturely to it, and who will accept that it is a game. I ran a game for quite a long time on a Friday night, and I knew the group I was running for were often, almost always, it was the end of the working week because it's Friday night. Some of them were often quite tired. The host would often have a few drinks, and having seen the messages that bounce between each other in various groups and how they talk to each other as friends, there was a lot of banter and a lot of trolling between them. A lot of winding people up. They would wind each other up a lot. So I straight away, this was the first time I was running AD&D for them. And of course, I think games mechanics are important. AD&D has training mechanics, which rely on share of treasure, and characters getting a fair amount of treasure in order to progress. It's key to early D&D. And I don't think I'd have to be a soothsayer to twig for me that there would very quickly become an excess amount of trolling and resentment if character progression was being thwarted by them constantly stealing, stabbing each other, that sort of thing. And they were the sort of group where that could happen. So immediately, when the game started, I said to them, I don't care what sort of character you're playing. I don't care what your class is. All loot you find while you are out in the wilds or in the dungeon will be considered party loot until you get back to a place of safety and you split it all out. And all experience will be split equally based on all survivors. It doesn't matter how much the thief steals or whatever, or who gets stolen from. You won't benefit from it because you'll be stealing from party loot to put back into party loot, because it won't become yours until the adventure is over. That nipped it all in the bud straight away. There was still a little bit of trolling, but that was the sort of group I had to do that with, because it would have descended. And sometimes you have to do that. But it taught them.
And sometimes you have to thank Bear for being awesome.
Sometimes I do have to. Yeah, I was. Thank you, Bear. Thank you very much, Bear. So
I waited until you did your Zen close the eye moment so that we wouldn't see it and like get your thoughts out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't see it, but thank you. So it is a case of knowing your group. It's a case of you may want to play a certain way, but sometimes the players you're with don't, it might not be a good idea for them. And you've just got to read the room. You've just got to read how they are and adapt and think about the type of game you're running. It wouldn't matter so much if it was 5e or any system which didn't have gold for XP, but we were playing a gold for XP system. So it was important. And as we all know, old school D&D requires cohesion in order to survive. We've already talked about splitting the party. If you're out in the dungeon, you need the party need to work together to survive. So they're stabbing each other up. They can stab each other in the back and in the inn afterwards, but if they're out in the dungeon, they're just going to end up all dying if they end up stabbing people in the back. So
but that's fine too. That becomes the game.
It does. Again, if you've got the people who can cope with it. Because otherwise the game ceases to be a game. It ceases to exist. Which is a shame. But we also had our first hints of violence between characters in Call of Cthulhu last week, didn't we? Didn't we, Aman?
Yes, not the session just gone, the one before.
Yeah. Do you want to talk?
You want me to?
Talk people through?
Yeah.
I've talked enough.
Do you want me to give the spoilers? Or do you
Yeah,
want
go on.
Okay.
Yeah, give spoilers.
So we just finished dealing with the Baba Yaga in the little cottage in the woods.
Yeah, your internet just died at a key moment there.
All right, give the spoilers.
That's why I was laughing.
Yeah.
We just finished dealing with the Baba Yaga in the cottage in the woods.
Yep.
And so we were making our way back to the village or research, and we noticed that the light in the church is on at a really late hour. So we go investigate, and Father's there. He's like wailing, like sobbing his eyes out, and we got to go to see what it is, and it's the dead, like what's the word, shriveled corpse of his wife.
Yes.
And we're all just thinking, like, well, how did this happen? Anyway, Father's grieving, all of that, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, outside, you hear villagers just shouting, Father, Father, chickens, in Serbo-Croat, which none of us understand apart from Jasmina.
Yeah.
Jasmina tells us, we go open the church doors and look outside, and we just see this flock horde of chickens, big black chickens. And they're just everywhere, and they're attacking villages and all this sort of stuff. So Harold closes the door there. Father and Jasmina try to make their way outside, and he just lashes out at them with a dagger.
But there was
Crucially, he failed a power check, so he didn't have any control of it.
Yes.
But indeed, a character did lash out at another character.
The key was Harold has 0 sanity, He did not want to go out anywhere near those chickens, and he's carrying an artifact, a very lethal artifact, and whenever he gets involved in a fight, that artifact appears in his hand. He has no control over that. And Andy said, he said to me, "Okay, I'm going to make a power check. I'm going to base my response here on the power check." And he failed. His character's unhinged. So he lost it momentarily and attempted to stab both a friendly NPC and another player character. Missed both times.
Thankfully.
Thankfully, because he's not very good at fighting. But the key there was this character's been very, very poorly for a long time. And he's getting more and more and more and more unhinged. And Andy's been playing it very well, how he just sort of gets a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse. And this was almost like this is the first time in probably 2 months of play where he's actually got aggressive. He could have just dived in and gone aggressive straight away.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first time, and it took something like that to make him snap.
And it feels like a natural progression of his insanity.
Absolutely. So none of the players have a problem with that, simply because it's being played properly. It's Call of Cthulhu is all about insanity. It's all about players losing it.
Properly is not even the right word. It's tastefully.
Yeah. Yes, correct. Yeah. It has been done tastefully. So,
like, just his
there you
little
go.
comments that he makes here and there, the tone of his voice like changes a little bit when he's going more unhinged, and just little things like that, and it all just adds up to just, it's amazing. I don't think I'd be able to pull it off, but you know, he certainly does.
Oh, Xnard Prime. Well, I've been able to see all your comments. Not sure who's got the StreamYard link. The StreamYard link it's in my Discord, and it's in a section of Discord called Stream Invites. And if you want to talk with your voice and show your face, then you click that link, and I click on approve, and you can come in and talk to us. Because you are a known name now. You've appeared a number of times in the chat, and we know we can trust you to behave yourself. So, you want to join us?
Do we fully know
I think
that?
so.
I'm
I think
fucking
so.
around. Absolutely,
I think so.
I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Play.
I mean, we've let Andy in here before, so anything goes, really.
Yeah. You're not fiddling with Discord today. Oh, no problem. But yeah, that's where I post it. That's where I post the link.
Well, you can copy it and give it to Mage's Musings, or Mage's Musings can give it to Xnard, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, you're welcome to send it to him if anyone wants to. If anyone has a means of contacting him.
Well, he's in my chat, so let me see if I can cut and paste.
I mean, I can cut and paste it into mine, but as well.
I don't have access to my own stream. That would be pretty bad.
That would be interesting.
Your chat doesn't allow links, though, does it, John?
Only he or his admins can post the links.
Oh, that means I can as well, then.
You can, yeah.
But if you post it publicly, that means everybody's going to jump in, and then he's going to have a Shadow and Suns incident where he's going to see someone's pee-pee, someone's ween.
He doesn't have to let them in if he doesn't know them.
Yeah.
You still see him in the back, though.
I just posted it in my chat. So Xnard Prime, if you can click there.
Right. So, I mean, I think the point is with player versus player, it's not everybody's cup of tea. But in the right game, it can make for very, very dramatic moments. Your players have to be your players have to be mature about it. It has to be the right sort of game. It has to not be all the time. That's important.
Mhm.
Used very sparingly. Because
Dramatically appropriate.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one you can't just say, "Hey, we're doing PvP" and expect everybody to do it well. No, I think that's a situation where you have to curate it. You have to understand your players. You have to know whether they can do it. I was saying earlier in my Night Below game the other day, they know the drill. For the most part, things will happen. I had an assassin character join the group just for a one-off, and she had a mission. It was to steal something from the group as well as collect information, that sort of thing. Nothing like she was meant to kill any of them. In fact, that was, wasn't forbidden, but it was discouraged. But she did have to steal a very important magical item from the team, the thief's ring of invisibility. As you can tell, a thief would really want a ring of invisibility. She had to proclaim it. She succeeded. She got away with it. And one of the players, when we were talking about it, sort of in a debrief, he had a mini meltdown. He couldn't believe that. Like, no, I can never trust another person you bring to the table. It's like, get over yourself, right? This is a guy I've been playing with for almost 20 years. He knows the drill, but because sometimes he'll slip into that gamer brain where, how dare you put this obstacle in the way from us winning, right? So even people you think can handle it, you still got to sort of keep an eye on. But I mean, as you say, it can really make a game exciting and interesting and deep if you got players who'll do it right. X-Star Prime, you got two glowing eyes.
How do you like my creepy man cave?
That's creepy, brother.
It is indeed. It is
Come on,
indeed.
don't get afraid, Iman. It's just the internet.
No, hang on. He's got some competition here. Whoops.
We all shutting off our lights? All right.
Oh, wow.
My helmet's a mask. I'm sorry.
Makes no difference.
Monitor light.
I have two huge monitors in front of me. Yeah, this is not going to do a difference. And I've got a big Excel sheet open as well.
Of course.
I know. Shock.
No way.
Are we all going spooky and dark? Here
No.
we go.
We're just ribbing the new guy.
You're
Hazing
actually
complete.
giving people seizures.
Like you
Right.
do.
So, we are approaching Halloween. Doing the Halloween stream. Right. So, welcome to Hello Xnard Prime. Welcome to the stream. It's the first time we've seen you. First time you've popped on.
Yeah, and I've been a bit camera shy for a long time.
Don't worry. I think
I don't really. I try and choose my words a little carefully.
That's okay. That's okay. So, do you have any feelings about the topics we've discussed so far?
Basically, it's been a long time since I've really played a role-playing game where it lasted more than 2 or 3 sessions with just what Shauna describes as random players of just bad communication and lots of meltdowns. But we had fun. And I'm just curious. I'll think of something later to try and clear.
Well, if you're ever happy to wrestle with Discord, we do play games on my Discord. So,
And we don't have
we have-
meltdowns on there, don't worry.
We don't have meltdowns either, so don't worry. We've had no meltdowns during games anyway.
Maybe the characters will be having meltdowns, in Call of Cthulhu.
Absolutely. So, but no, it's good to have you on.
How do you
And,
pronounce your name, by the way, now that you can actually talk with voice?
Xnard Prime is
Oh,
perfect. It's just I'm 53 years old, Generation X, and it's a demented version of Grognard, I guess.
Wait, am I the oldest person here again? Man, this is getting depressing. I'm just saying.
With the exception of the two guys sandwiched between us on the ends, all of us are past the 50 mark. So
Yeah, but I'm still the oldest. Stop stealing my thunder, Toronto.
it's a youngin' sandwich, apparently.
Yeah, you got to pay for extra for that.
I don't know how to feel about that.
You got to pay extra, about $20.
no, did he? Had to say it.
Well,
No,
as
did he? Is that what the kids are saying now? No, did he?
No, did he?
So Andy, we do know that Andy is the oldest one amongst us. So he is the grandfather, the granddaddy. He's got 10 years on you, Bear.
Yeah, well, look at him. He looks half that.
So yeah, we got 50 somethings on the corners and a 20 something for a few more weeks and a 30 something in the middle.
Whoa, who's the 20-something?
Me. I'm going to be 30 in a month.
You're in your 30s. Jesus.
Youngin' sandwich. Say it with me.
Yeah.
No.
Moving on.
Moving on. Okay. Here's an example of PvP working, and I've mentioned this before. One of the players in that game, Dave Mills, was in that game, in the game. I was running the Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, and there was a not seen him around for a while. One of the earliest people to speak in and come on the streams, got chatting to him. And he said he wanted to play in the game, but he knew the module. Since Secret of Saltmarsh. So we had about 5 players. He came in just for a session or two to play a very notorious NPC,
Mr. Shakeshaft.
Mr. Shakeshaft. Those of you who know the module will know exactly who he was playing, and his purpose was to try and do the characters in as best as possible. And he succeeded. He killed one of them. And the players took it very well. Because it's there in the adventure. And he played the character absolutely correctly. Which was great. And it added to the adventure. It really added to it. And he lent into it, role played him well, planned him out well, and chose a really good moment to strike. It was good. It was good. And so in the right circumstances, with the right adventure, with the right players, it can work. But PvP does not have to be violence every time. It can be bickering, it can be social conflict, and it can really help bring a game. It can really help raise a game from the mundane to the memorable. Because if you think about it, if you are living in each other's pockets for months on end, you're going to have disagreements. It's not going to be all sweetness and light. And if you want your characters to be believable, you've got to have these disagreements. And if you can play them out in a logical manner, it'll be fantastic. Right, those are 2 big sort of talking points in D&D. Have you, any of you guys, got any other sort of common advice that is given that may or may not be good? That
For what?
you think for any role-playing game that is commonly trotted out in the same way that those 2 are trotted out?
Give the players everything they want. Absolutely.
Go on then, shall we? Let's
The
talk about
player
that.
isn't against the GM isn't against the players.
Well, the DM isn't against the players.
No, he is. No. Have you met Saxius?
I was just going to say, like,
So, let's go with give the players what they want. This is that whole say yes thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I
I
think
do.
it's absolute terrible advice.
I do give them what they want.
Give them what you want.
Now,
Give them what the game wants.
well, that's just it. I mean, yes, provide them, well, you're not providing an experience. You're all playing a game, but this notion, and I've seen it a lot with younger players that they seem to think that they're entitled to everything they want out of the game. They can play whatever class they want, whether or not the DM has said no, that class doesn't exist. Eli often talks about this where he's open to suggestions, but he still has his parameters, and that's fine. If you're open to suggestions, that's your business as a DM. But when players come making demands, that's where that advice gets a little off, because I'm also running the game I want to play, and if you're coming demanding that I change my game to accommodate you because I'm giving the players what they want, well, I'm done. I'm out. So you're not going to have any game.
Yes. You've got to remember that a game, everybody at the table is important. But I'm going to argue this till I'm blue in the face. The DM is the single most important person at that table. Most of the time, the game can go on just fine if one player walks away. Okay, all the players as a whole, no. But if one player has a hissy fit and walks away, if they're not getting what they want, the game can survive. If the DM is not running the game they enjoy, the game is dead.
The game is over.
The game is over. Absolutely. The game would be crap to begin with.
The reverse is true as well. Like, players should have the maturity to say this game isn't for me and walk away if it's not for them.
Absolutely.
And therein lies the trick. It's just finding a DM you're compatible with, or a GM. But I hate it when I hear people say to new DMs, "Oh, you accommodate your players, give them what they want." It's like, no, set your boundaries, have your restrictions, run the game you can run.
Cody, were your ears burning? We were talking about you earlier. Cody. I was saying how good the game was on Saturday, and it was largely down to your warped mind twisting things in a very odd direction. So Nerdy Ogre was talking about how did Palladium go. We're not playing Palladium anymore. It's the same game, but we are playing it with Dark Ages Cthulhu rules instead, but it's the same world. And it's now got a very much darker feel because of what Cody did, which is marvelous. But yeah, you're right. And one thing to remember about giving the players what they want as well. The players aren't as informed as the DM is about the game world, about what is happening in the world. And if what they want will not always line up with how the world is meant to feel. Say, for example, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of examples off the top of my head, but they're not coming to me at the moment.
Well, a lot of players want a power fantasy, right? They want the pre-beated story that they know they're going to win with the illusion of the challenge.
But that doesn't make for an enjoyable game for everyone.
No.
Well, but that's like in combat when the player goes for the absolute killer move, first move out of the gate to try and end the combat in one shot. Gee, that was fun, Bob. So glad you did that for everybody. I'm so glad we all got to play and have a good time because, yeah.
Or to add to that, they go for the one-shot killer move, but then it doesn't work and they get killed, and then they have a hissy fit about it. But that move is supposed to be epic. It's supposed to let me win.
Yeah. Thankfully, I've not played with players like that for a while. They definitely exist. They definitely exist. And
I'm
even
curious if it, oh, sorry to interrupt.
go on, Extard.
I have this idea of a scenario, a starting scenario with random players who I don't know who they are and how they're going to react and how silly they are, and pretty much expecting that kind of juvenile, goofy mindset of doing stupid things and just experimenting, to where every scenario for at least the first 3 to 5 sessions once a week, the players are in green home territory where they're just doing obstacle courses and finding items and clues and benevolent NPCs, and they're just learning the ropes of adventuring and dungeon exploration with less than lethal combat. So, is there any way to kind of offset silly party disunity and character clashes? I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, I think I know what you're saying. When the players aren't taking seriously and they're just clowning around, if I understand what you're saying, you're wanting to know how to deal with that, right? If they're just clowning around, not taking the scenario seriously.
Yeah, there's also. I think the best way to deal with that is consequences.
Consequences, in-game consequences.
Yes.
The world
Yes.
has to react to them being silly. They can act however they like. Players always have the autonomy to act how they like. But the world is the world. The world's going to react to them how the world will react to them. And, if they're acting like a bunch of jackasses at a pub, they get kicked out of the pub. If they go around robbing random people, they get arrested. Things like that. Just have the world react to them in a rational, logical way when they're being irrational and illogical. And that'll generate tons of conflict. That can be a lot of fun, especially if they lean into it. Most players will, I shouldn't say most players, but you'll get some players who think they can get away with anything, will whine about consequences, but run with it. Just have the world react.
Yes. And the key is you don't always have to, depending on what they do, obviously, if they immediately go out, I had meant to just click on to remove Iman's thing, but I think Per's right here. The world does not lie. That's a good way of phrasing it. But depending on what they do, obviously, if straight away they're murdering random shopkeepers and thinking they get away with it, then obviously come down and knock a ton of bricks. But if they're just trolling people and just generally arsing about, doing what 12 or 13-year-olds might do when put in a strange environment with no parents to control them, then you just need to give them the slap on the wrist and the warning. But the slap on the wrist and the warning needs to come with enough gravitas that for the players themselves to realise that next time it won't be. And if they continue, then go through with the consequences that you threatened, whatever they may be. And it'll usually involve them having to roll up new characters. And that's fair. That is fair. Sometimes you've got to be cruel to be kind. Because the sooner they start realizing that role-playing games are a group experience and that shenanigans are fun when used appropriately and sparingly. But the main focus of the game is to get together as a group and achieve what it is your characters need to achieve. If they can't do that, and you as a DM are not happy with that, then I'm sorry, the game is probably cursed from the start. But most players will, once they realise what's supposed to be happening, most players will come around eventually. They get out of the system. That's fair to say. So, back to the point of the whole say yes thing. I've seen people say yes, and also the whole say yes and.
No, that's an improv game.
It's okay as long as what your players are suggesting is appropriate. As long as they respect the game, as long as they respect the environment and respect the world. If they don't, then the word no has to come into play. Simply has to.
Yeah, you're blocking my agency, man.
I mean, we could discuss the whole thing about player agency now because we have got time. I did notice that we mentioned talking about the player agency on the stream, and one of the regular viewers, they made a video about player agency a few days later, diving in. But it's a sort of thing. It's a sort of thing that does get discussed.
Well,
there is a vet.
I was just about to say, improv tools are like any tools. They have their use, but tools are used for specific situations, not as broad purpose.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, yes, and yeah, absolutely. There's a place for it. As with anything else, as with PvP, as with splitting the party, it's
Yes.
just something you have to sort of feel out. There's no absolute yes or no.
Absolutely. And that's
no,
where
there's no absolute.
No. Absolutely, there is no absolute. But no, it takes experience to know when to apply it and when to force certain things to happen, and when to say no, and when to say yes. And we won't always get it right. We learn through our own mistakes. But well, I don't know where I was rambling on to.
That's okay. We're all north of 50. It happens.
I just said you. What was I talking about before you sort of chimed in? Then where was I going?
I don't know. I'm also north of 50.
You were going on about player agency being another one, and then we were talk. You were still talking on about the whole. What was it like saying yes to what the players wanted? But I think you kind of labor that point.
Yeah, player agency. Most people I've come across arguing about player agency online that I've seen posting rants about the sort of thing haven't got a bloody clue what they're talking about. There's a massive difference between player agency and character agency. A lot of them get confused between the two. Character agency is the ability for your characters to behave in the world with freedom, to for their actions to matter, and for their actions to have an impact and consequences. Consequences don't necessarily have to be negative. They're just the actions have an impact. It is really the opposite of railroading. Character agency. The characters have choices within the world. Player agency is more to do with the players having choices over the game. That's my definition. Anybody disagree?
Not really. I like my players to be able to, especially in the context of the game, feel that they're free to act, but you're still reacting to a situation.
Yes.
And you'll get the odd player who, if they feel restricted in the game, they'll complain about, well, I thought I could do anything in this game. It's like, well, yes, you have anything rational within the context of the situation you're in. And with regards to, consequences when dealing with other players, sure, feel free to poke at one of your fellow players at the table, but understand that they're free to react as well. They may poke back, depending on who they're playing and who they are in person. But always going under the assumption that you're playing with mature players who get it, then assume that the poke back is in character and is logical. Some characters, and this is sort of another thing I've noticed, is players have trouble playing low status. I know it's true of me. I have to actually concentrate, make an effort to play low status. It's part of the power fantasy occupational hazard, I guess. And that's where a lot of quibbles will come into play. You start poking other players and they poke back, and nobody wants to be the loser. Nobody wants to play the low status where it's, oh, yes, sir, okay, leave me alone kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I think the whole purpose of a role-playing game, in my opinion, is that the characters have agency.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is key to the success of a game. Xnard, only admins can post links. That's set up because we had spam bots.
That's all right. I can do it.
You can do it. But I think for a game to be worthwhile, for a game to have merit as a role-playing game, characters must have agency. Character actions have to matter. I hate the total railroads where whatever you do, the same thing, the same outcome. Or that's why I've got such a disdain for the Dragonlance series of adventures. There was so little freedom within those adventures for the characters to make any real impact on the direction of the whole story. Whereas Horror on the Orient Express is different. Yes, it's linear, but you can have a significant impact on the direction, the way the world goes. Player agency, in my opinion, is nowhere near as important. Players should get to play a game that they want to play, but they should not be able to dictate to everybody at the table regarding that game. It's up to the DM to make the final decisions. And if the DM turns around and says, no, that doesn't work, as long as the DM's being reasonable, that is fine. That is absolutely fine. You get unreasonable DMs. You do. Of course you do. But most of us are reasonable. Most of us just want the best for our game. And we understand.
I'm not reasonable. I'm completely unreasonable.
Okay. Is that because you're Canadian? Sorry, Sean. You're Canadian as well.
Well, he's in Quebec, so he's learned to be unreasonable by virtue of where he is.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yes. No players do not get to dictate what is in the game. They get to suggest. That is fine. That is absolutely fine. Having a discussion about what people want from the game, what options they want in there, what mechanics, is all fine. But if the DM turns around and says, that doesn't fit, as long as they've considered, as long as it's not just a, because I don't like it, as long as there's a good reason behind it, then fine, absolutely fine. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And you're not trampling on the characters' agencies by doing that.
Yeah, well, there's the bottom line. If everybody's agreed to the kind of game you're going to play, then the concept is moot. It's, when somebody comes to an established game, for instance, and makes demands. I met a guy, and I can't say this anecdote enough. It was at the Toronto D&D group, and there was this kid. He was like 21 years old, making demands. He was like telling me, I would never play in a game unless the DM does this and this and this and this and this and this. And it's like, well, yeah, good riddance. Bye. Right?
Yeah. So do I plop the party down? Have to find the world, or do you believe in hooks, quests to give motivation? I believe in both. I will run story games. I will run sandboxes. I will dangle hooks. I will throw hooks in their faces. I'll hit them with hooks. And I'll also hide hooks. It all depends on the game. It all depends on the game. Depends on what you're running.
Hide the juicy hooks. Make them earn it. You know, the stuff that leads to the really good rewards. You know, they've got to go digging for that stuff.
And I think the key for a DM is to be adaptable. The key is to be to be able. I mean, I'm working with a very, very large behemoth of a module at the moment, and that's Horror on the Orient Express. It is huge, 800 pages huge, and as read, it is linear. But I'm giving my players choices along the way. They're playing their characters, how they want to play them. I'm having to drop little hooks in here and there to occasionally a few extra prods to get them going in the direction that would most help them. But there are times that they've completely ignored sections of the adventure. And it doesn't matter. It's
not naming any names in particular. Manfred.
Manfred. But no, they'll do that. They'll do, and that's what players will do. And you just got to be adaptable and react to it. They haven't solved every bit in the manner that the book expects, in the order that the book expects. And as a DM, you've just got to be able to run with that. And that is character agency. Do they have total player agency in that game? No. They have to play a human character in the 1920s who has to want to do the quests.
But I want to be a gnome.
No, you can't.
Wait, what? We're not playing gnomes? Sean said we were playing gnomes. I came to play gnomes. Sean, you lied to me.
He lied to me. He said we could be anything.
Yeah, I thought this was a game of our imagination. What kind of GM are you with these silly things you're doing? I demand a better GM. Saxius, you should run the game. Ah, crap, my character died. Didn't even finish character creation. I'm already dead. Ah, man.
You don't die until you fill out C01.
Lord,
I had a feeling-
go on, Xnard.
I thought Gnome by Pink Floyd was so appropriate. Sid Barrett. Just saying.
It's a deep cut. It's a very deep cut.
Poor old Sid Barrett. I don't like gnomes, I'm not a fan. Lord Dog. I run the game I want to run, but I'm glad to say I think I've got a group of players, especially in my Call of Cthulhu game, who want to play in the game I want to run. It's all about finding the right group. I do have a degree of flexibility, but there are lines I draw. There are certain things I won't do. Certain games I won't run. Certain styles of game I won't run because as a DM, I have to be enjoying it as well. It's as simple as that. I think that's the case for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that's the player versus. I mean, that might. Some people might disagree with the whole agency thing there, but you're taking away player agency. No. Taking away player agency is fine.
Absolutely. I know I missed the player agency part because I was stuck on a phone call, but player agency is a red herring. It is a nonsense term that just completely, if I hear someone say that, it's like, you know what, maybe you shouldn't play in my game if you honestly think you have agency.
I think that is the general point, but character agency, where their actions matter, very different. Vitally important.
Yes.
So there you go. Put that one right. Anyone else got anything they want to bring up? So we've done splitting the party. We've done PvP. We've done the always say yes. What other snippets of advice are thrown out?
I love the concept of giving the players or player characters all the rope they want to hang themselves, and that's the bizarre caveat, twist, or mystery behind the phrase player agency or character agency. You know, it can be a weird multiple meanings of words. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it is key to our games in you give the players the opportunity to make mistakes, and a lot of the peril in the game comes from the players making mistakes. One thing I love about a lot of the Cthulhu adventures I've been running is there is an easy solution to them. But how often do the players find that easy solution? No. They get themselves in all manner of trouble along the way, and that's where the fun comes. I say they give them the rope to hang themselves. They give each other the rope sometimes. I mean,
or
I've
in
probably
Harold's
given,
case, he just takes the rope.
yeah. And I mean, in Codex Albana, I've probably given Bear more than enough rope to hang Devere 10 times over.
Oh, my sweet summer child. You have no idea what is in store for you all. You got like the something's cooking in the oven scent in the last game. You didn't even get a taste of it. You just got the scent that something's happening. You'll see.
I consider a player's role very much to feed the DM ideas during play.
My view is I want to make Saxius proud of me.
and
And yes, you do feed a lot of ideas, and that's a very cool thing and can be a lot of fun. Sometimes, though, it's also a giant pain in the ass that gets in the way of the goddamn game. And you have Saxius screaming at his radio, driving in his car as a result of that. And then, trust me, the audible screams he's doing are the inner screams in my head while it's happening. But it happens.
And you've given Saxius the idea of him react. Next time you do that, we do that. Saxius, film yourself watching.
And I'm not okay. So I'm not doing while I'm driving. First and foremost, I'm not breaking that law.
All you got to do is set up the little tripod and fix it to your dash, and then you're not. Once you hit play, you don't have to worry about interacting with the camera. It's just recording you.
I don't think it's legal here in the UK.
Isn't it? Okay.
No. There are some rather strict rules when it comes to what you can and can't have going on with your mobile phone while you're driving. That's why technically I can't. Yeah,
They just got even stricter, I think.
It has gotten significantly stricter, so I'm not playing around with it.
No, that's right.
That is true, actually. That is true. That's why when I did do a little spoof of a certain person who drives around opining on D&D, and my daughter was filming me while I was driving.
Well, Saxius doesn't have anyone that likes him, so he's on his own.
Get your wife to sit in the passenger seat while you drive around sunny Bristol.
I'm sure she has nothing better to do, right?
No, because I actually respect the fact that my wife, as a video gamer, would rather sit down and play video games.
Fair.
And you'd like to stay married.
Yes,
it's just
more important.
John, it's not an argument I'm winning. Just like I don't see you winning that argument with your wife.
No, I wouldn't win it at all. No.
And that, gentlemen, is why I still believe in all the wars in France, the death numbers were highly, highly exaggerated by English guys going, no, just tell my dad, have you seen Marie? I'm staying here. Like, it was just they didn't go back to England because they found the French women. But that's neither here nor there. What is here nor there is the fact that while players will give you ideas, and players can get some really wrong-headed ideas, looking at you, Devere, there is a certain amount of giving them, as Exnard said, giving them enough rope to hang themselves. But in the true form of Save versus Saxius, pull the string. Don't just keep giving them rope. Eventually, yank it as hard as you can. Maybe a head will pop off. It'll be great for the crowd, but don't let them get away with it endlessly.
No, honestly, yes. The players are going to take the piss. I will put it very bluntly. They will push that envelope, and they will keep pushing. It is perfectly fine to say, right, now it's time to pay the piper. And then you take a good chunk of their hit points. And if you can get away with it, you even take a character or two. And then once they're sitting there and they're going, oh, this suddenly went into a different way, you don't stop and you keep pressing until they have learned a hard lesson. Most players will give you enough rope, but you as a DM just take enough, and then let them drop. Because the player characters need to die.
He's off. Everyone in chat, say versus Saxius, please.
I mean, I can go on and
Tear
on.
up your nearest character sheet.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
No,
minor
but he's
one.
not
That was
wrong.
only-
Look, he's out of line, but he's not wrong. Okay? And that's what we always have to remember in this situation. Players will take and take and take and take and take as long as you let them take. But when you let them take just enough to where they think they're giddy little children who've raided the candy store, and then boom, the hammer falls, they don't try and take so much the next time because they've figured out that there's consequences to their actions. And you must, as a GM, in whatever game you're running, enforce the consequences of the law of the world, the rule of the world, the order of the world. If you're playing Call of Cthulhu and they're walking through the town jauntily sporting, hunting rifles and pistols, maybe their biggest threat ain't going to be Cthulhu. It's going to be the local cops, And then if they get, like dumb players, a shootout with the cops, well, now maybe the FBI is chasing them. And suddenly they don't have time to go stop the monster because they're being hunted by mundane things. In D&D, use the Old West mentality. Hi, welcome to the city of whatever. You may check your weapons over there. I'm not checking my weapons. Well, we don't allow the open display of weapons or the wearing of armor in our city, so you have one of two choices. You can check all your stuff here with us where it'll be safe and available upon return with your ducat when you leave the city, or don't enter our city. Players tend to have an elitist, entitled mentality that they can just do, their characters can do whatever they want. They can just wander around because they're the stars of the movie. Well, throw little mundane things in their way and watch how they deal with that. It will upend them far more than a dragon. It will upend them far more than Shoggoths. It will upend them far more than Dr. Doom and his Doombots, because they are not prepared for that. They are prepared to fight the dragon. They are prepared to fight the Shoggoths. They are prepared to take on the supervillains. What they're not prepared for? The cops, the law, social behavior.
Or a bad back from sleeping in their armor at night.
Oh my God, please. All right, save versus sores. What? Welcome to disadvantage on all your rolls today. Why? You got a hell of a rash, and it chafes. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to kill their characters. Yes, Saxius loves to kill the characters. We all know that. But you don't have to kill the characters. You can hurt the characters, wound the characters, and embarrass the characters.
Inconvenience them with mundane reality.
The players just won't accept my Warhammer Fantasy critical role tables and play disabled characters who've now lost arms, legs, and eyes, who've had permanent reductions to their charisma. They just won't do it I don't understand why they won't do this, because at least this way their characters get to live, and they just, as John likes to say, they're just strung along. I'm just giving them the extended warranty of their characters. They're the ones who are choosing to continue, rolling for those, survival roles, rather than just laying down and going, you know what, it's okay to bleed out. I'm gonna die in this ditch.
Take me, Jesus.
Exactly.
Take me, Sigmar.
Exactly. Sigma, you know what? Just take me. I know that these rat folk in the sewers aren't real, but at least my body and my equipment will be recycled.
Wow.
Okay, but if they won't do that, then there are alternatives. We've also got the interlock from Witcher, which again, sometimes you just need to know the fact that you were hit by a critical, and well, you don't just survive a critical without actual medical healing. Anyway, I'm off because it's fun. It's fun to talk about why we should just make the characters and the players enjoy a bit of suffering.
A bit.
Like,
Just a bit.
Just a bit. Listen, they need to feel the pain to enjoy the highs of victory. You just have to remind them. Which is why the players give you rope. They just don't understand why they do it, but they keep doing it.
They feel like they've earned their victory. They'll come back.
Yeah.
They'll come back to the game.
Which is why when I passed that push roll yesterday, I nearly blew everyone's eardrums out afterwards.
Yeah, there's a big chat of yes! Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I knew the consequences would be dire if I failed, and I knew it was a stupid thing to even do.
everybody complains about the fact that WotC is coming up with AI DMs, and they're like, "Oh, AI DMs! Whoa, the world is chicken little, chicken little." I want AI players. When can I have those, please?
I know. Oh, how long was it ago now? 5 years ago, my dad asked me why I wasn't looking into coding for AI, because he genuinely believed that the hobby would be going down the route of we would be seeing more AIs being introduced into every facet of our lives, which he's not wrong. Look at where we are now. We're just 5 years down the line, and it's just going up exponentially. Heck, I've even got some of my other players who have openly said, listen, Oscar, just use ChatGPT to ease the burden of your work. Some of it works. Some of it I go, you're not mean enough. Just let me give you some examples. And I'm still not there yet, but it's not a real project of mine.
I use my reaction to cast silvery barbs. Oh, look, I have one.
Mm-hmm. But yes, I don't know. AI players, I would even consider that, but
You know what? I think it could be fun.
All right.
Using voice the technology that we have where I can talk to ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's true.
Give me a program where I can have 4 different AIs as the players with distinct character voice and all that fun stuff. And then I can even test run some stuff just to see how it plays out. Find out if that challenge was too over the top or not. There's lots of tools. There's like anything else. It's a tool. You can do anything you want with it. Right. But why not, man? That could be fun.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, do we have any other pearls of wisdom that we've heard in the past?
Players cheat.
Players what?
Players cheat. We have all, and I challenge you to tell me you haven't, though someone will, have played with that guy who goes, oh, it's my turn. Okay, hang on. Oh, 19. And they pick up their die before anyone can see it.
Oh, yeah,
We've
they do.
all
Yeah, they do.
played with that guy.
We do, yeah.
So here's the question. What do? Do you call them on the cheating? Or do you just
see the die? I just make them re-roll it.
Or do you just let them go and screw them in other ways?
No, I don't do anything punitive. I keep it
not punitive.
straightforward.
No, not punitive. Just challenging. Cheat.
My face-to-face rule when it comes to dice, face-to-face rule is everybody rolls into the middle of the table. That includes me during combat. Not every roll I make will be out in the open. There will be some rolls I'll keep secret. But if it's a combat-related roll, monster saving throw, that sort of thing, it'll be a roll into the middle of the table for everyone to see. And that's what everybody has to do.
Generally,
No
the same.
exceptions.
Yeah,
No
no, I don't have them roll in the middle per se, but yeah, any roll that's made if I didn't call for it is invalid. I mean, roll the
Oh,
dice
yeah,
all
that's
you,
true.
roll the dice all you want, but unless I called for it and unless I'm watching it, I mean, a little leeway. Like if I've called for an attack roll and I'm checking sometimes I'm checking something in my thing and they roll it, and it's like they think I've looked or whatever. But most of the players on my table are honest too, so they say, "Oh yeah, you got a 12 or a 13 or whatever." It's like fine, but yeah, no. If you suspect somebody of doing that, the quick roll and the snatch. Oh, I got a natural 20. Well, I don't see it there, so I guess you're re-rolling that die.
Well, no, there's ways to do it. I mean, absolutely, you can do that. But I've played with confrontational people in my day that they get, and then they, well, you call me a cheater? Yes.
Yeah. Satchus, you're pointing at the ceiling?
I am indeed. It's right above me. I mean, I've seen someone blatantly cheat in a game where I got to play, where we were supposed to be rolling our stats with 2d10s. We rolled 2d20s. He then said, "Oh, but that's what I heard," and then proceeded with making the character with me and 3 other players in there going, "No, you're redoing your character." Or basically, while the DM was sitting there like, "Oh, I'm not sure how to do this." Like, no, I'm kicking in. I'm not having that. We're all playing at the same level, at the same field. We're all suffering together. I'm not having a Mary Sue be in my group. So that's what we're gonna do there. And I've also audited a player and found that his character's statistics did not match up because I had done the whole 3.5, use what you can. If you do something in any of the books that I do not own physically, you need to provide me a trail of where you found this. And I went through it. Everything he gave me did not match up. So I locked his character sheet and said, right, here's a screenshot of your stats. Walk me through how you build that. And he said, "What? No, I don't have to do this. What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I am not understanding how your statistics got to where they are, where your attributes came from. I would like you to walk me through how you got there." I went, "No." Okay, remove from group. You're now out of the group. If you want back in, you got to explain yourself. I was like, "No, you're dropping the ball on this, Oscar. I don't want to play with you." Cool. Block.
Bye.
Yeah, it's just. But again, this I do a lot of it with online, where the simplest resolution for me is that if it gets to that point, it's like, okay, click, 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 done. I'm moving on. I don't need to waste my time with this. I have got more energy invested into the game, and if someone's going to be detracting from that, all right, remove them from the equation, move on.
And that's why the Danes were the most brutal invaders in England. No time to stick around. Just murder and move, baby. Murder and move. Got it. No, I agree with you on that, though. I had a similar situation with an online game I ran where the guy was just being absolutely obstinate, being a dick about everything, arguing everything, and telling me I was wrong and he should be allowed to do what he wants. And I was just like, okay, well, I guess you're done. Bye now. And that was the end of the game for him. And sometimes sometimes the DM must learn to say no.
Yeah.
Not no and, no but, just no.
Heck, there's even been times where I've introduced some, was like another player basically went like, "Oh, we need some players for our group. Let me introduce some of my friends." And then they came in. We had 2 or 3 sessions. And I said, "I don't like them. I have this gut feeling I'm not going to be getting along with these people." So I took them aside and basically went, "Sorry, it's not working out my side. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." That's it. Because if I'm not going to be gelling with them, and if I'm going to be putting in the efforts to try and get along with them in a game where I want to have fun and it's not working out, then sorry, I'd rather pull the plug and then restart, find another group where it is gelling, and then move on.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, and this came up recently on my Discord. We're trying to get together a hero game for Iman, and someone suggested, "Well, I've got some friends we could all come play," and I'm like, "Nope, thanks anyway." Because I've run games for strangers where they're all friends, and that very quickly starts to feel like me versus them. You know, they've got all their friend terms and expressions, and they know how to talk to each other. And I don't know what messages they're sending each other behind scenes and all that kind of stuff. But it just starts to feel very much like you're against a group. And it's like, no, I'm not interested in having that dynamic. Even if you're not going to do it, I'm not setting myself up for the potential anymore.
No, I get you. It makes sense. Trying to think what else.
Has John died?
I
What's going
agree
on
with
with
you.
John?
No, he's just. I'm just trying to think of like what else people have been saying. Like, oh, you know, it's not the DM that's killing your character. It's the NPCs, which that's just a lie for me. It's absolutely me killing the characters, and like that's just a lie. But we don't need to dwell into that. But on a serious note, differentiate between reality and the fiction, what have you.
Thank you for setting me up for a Monty Python quote. Let's not quibble over who killed who. This is an happy occasion.
Exactly. What else?
I mean, there are a few sort of.
Okay, can I throw one out here?
Yeah, go on.
It's just a game.
No, it's not.
It is really
It's our
not.
second life. God damn it!
Yes, it is my second unpaid job.
Mhm.
It's a cornerstone of my personality and my life, and it was a thing that my wife and I had to address when we were getting, through our relationship, was just my obsession with this hobby. It is my way of regaining sanity when I, again, using my previous jobs, 9 years in shipping, I lived in a rather insane world, so I needed somewhere to go and let this out, let the steam go out. It's not just a game. This is, in an odd way, to me, it's also the therapy of releasing my brain into a world where there is other things I can control and enjoy.
I disagree, but I think it's interesting to see where Sean and you agree and where I and you agree shows the differences between Sean and I, which is actually quite interesting for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think with us mostly being DMs here, it is a bit more than a game. If it was just a game, we'd be sat down with a board and playing the game and then putting it away and forgetting about it. We can't do that.
What do you mean we, Pommy?
I can't do that.
No,
My brain is always bouncing and wondering about various things I can do regarding games and thinking.
That's the appeal of this game, is that it's an ongoing process. It's, as you say, you don't just pack it up and you're done. It's an ongoing thing, and that's why we love it. Because
it feels like more than a game. It's almost a way of life.
Oh, that I agree with. That it's a way of life, but it's still just a game. If you're taking it too seriously, you need to really, really, really reconsider what you're doing. If you're to the point where you're getting angry at people over things that happened in make-believe, you need to adjust. If you're at the point where you think you're better than someone because they don't do things the way you do, so therefore they're wrong, as opposed to it's just a difference of style, you need to rethink why you're doing this. We may disagree on a lot of things, but neither one of us are going to say you're wrong to each other. We're going to say, well, that's not how I do, and leave it at that.
My DM had a goblin steal my magic sword, and it ruined my life.
Yeah.
Blackleaf, I declare you dead. You must leave the game.
I'm sure there are DMs out there who do that.
I mean, I do feel it is more than a game. I think it is important that everybody at the table treats it as a little bit more, in that you've got to respect the effort that your DM puts in, preparing, learning, getting things sorted in their head as to what can and can't happen, and working out encounters. It is such an ongoing procedure that it does feel like more than a game.
Well, this is something I've always said, John, is that the GM does all the work.
Yeah.
The players show up and pretend to be their characters for 4 hours, and then the GM continues working until the next session. Therefore, I mean, at some point you have to accept the input and the work and the value of the GM. If you're not, listen, no GM, you got 4 people sitting around a table going, "We want to do."
Absolutely.
No players. I guess I'll work on my world building for a while and prepare some adventures for when I do have some players. Night and day situation.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, it's bad to admit that it's a bit more than a game, but I'll freely admit that. Maybe
I don't hide it.
Well, if you think
No.
about it, especially like if you regularly and it's the same time every week or every 2 weeks or every month or whatever it might be, it becomes part of your routine as a part of your life. So then by extension, it is a part of your life and it is more than a game. It's something that you take time aside from everything else in your life for.
It creates friendships. It creates camaraderie. It creates our little communities. The whole of gaming is not one big community. People are wrong when they say the gaming community, but we have little pockets of communities of people who like similar types of gaming.
Which gaming community?
But hang on.
Yeah.
To the point of it's just a game. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, it's just a game. Those groups that create friendships and communities also can create enemies and animosities and drama and strife because people forget it's just a fucking game.
Yes. That's true. That is true. Yeah. And a lot of what we say on here, it comes back to, I think all of us here, how am I going to phrase this? Are we all a little bit elitist in the way we approach, the way we run games? In that we don't just game with anyone. We accept there has to be a bit of gatekeeping. We accept that we have to get people who like to game how we like to game in order for the game to work. We game with adults. We do so by choice. Where am I going? I don't know.
Well, I want to ask you: are you talking about being elitist or talking about being transparent?
Okay. Transparent's a better word for it.
Yeah, right.
Because the way you were wording it, it made it sound like you would be that you are better than the other people who did not agree to your style. I think what you were trying to say is you are being transparent about how you want to run your games as a DM. Therefore, it's easier for the players to turn around and say, you know what, I'm up for that. Let's go and try that. Or, you know what, no, thank you. This is where I'm going to have to filter it out. It's what I mean. When I moved here to Bath, I didn't have my gaming group. I had my online groups, but I needed a physical group that I want to go to because I love physical games, and I couldn't do it in my previous place because I lived in effectively the city was a retirement place. I was not interested in playing with people that were 70 years and above. So I wanted a group that was more down in my age range. And I found that by inviting complete strangers in and by saying, listen, I'm going to run a game. Can't promise a spot for everyone, but post if you want to. And I met up with them. Fantastic people. We've been playing for 2-3 years now. It's been awesome and made some actual friends out of that. That's because I was willing to say I'm now going to invite people in, but I had to be transparent when I sat down with them and said, listen, I am not Matt Mercer. I am not all these online personas. Here's who I am as a DM. This is what I do. This is my gaming philosophy. This is what I do. This is what you will experience when you play with me. And these are my priorities. And this is what I expect from my players.
Yeah, no, I get the point. I mean, the point is valid. But at the same time, sorry, it's just a game. And we need to remember that sometimes. We can lose ourselves in these fantasies. We can lose ourselves in these artificial realities because the one we're in kind of sucks. And as a result, we look forward to that time where we get to escape and we get to go, slay the dragon, get the gold, or hop off the Orient Express to tackle the cultist that's getting away with the artifact we need, or whatever the case may be. But it's just a game.
Mm-hmm.
And when the dice are done, yeah, the DM's got thoughts to do. I like players that blue book, so they actually think about their characters between sessions and they come up with ideas for stuff. It's all good. But when the dice are put down, the game is over until next time. And then the game picks up again. And if we don't have that, we start getting into that mazes and monsters territory, where the people that become obsessive and they become fixated, and then they start to take things in the game personally. And we've all watched the DM horror stories on YouTube and stuff where people talk about their horrible RPG experiences and what goes on. We've had a few ourselves, I'm sure, in our lives. And we need that perspective. We really, really do. Because if we lose that perspective, something inside us is going to atrophy and become very, very dark and corrupted. And that's not a good place to go, because then a bunch of investigators are going to show up at your house trying to prove if you're part of the mythos or not. And, well, you're not welcome in my house. Stay out.
And mad Americans go on talk shows. And...
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. That's actually what happened in the 80s.
Yes.
Yes.
We were all there when the deep lore was written.
Well,
Nope.
maybe not. Maybe not Amon.
I certainly wasn't. I was born in '92, so
Oh wow, even not you.
no, far from it. Wouldn't even remember it.
You barely
Um,
have the memories of the '90s, let alone the '80s.
Yeah, exactly. So like, even
Seriously.
though people are like, "Oh, you're a '90s kid," I'm like, "No, I'm really not. I'm a 2000s kid." That's what I remember. And again, people forget this. I'm from Denmark. I didn't have the news of what was going on in America. None of that reached my little village. I didn't speak English. I couldn't read the D&D books. Like all this entire culture, I've had to go and read up on and catch up on to understand what people were talking about.
It's Saxius. It's with you being born in 1992. It's highly likely that on the day you were born, at some point, I was face down in a dirty nightclub listening to dodgy music.
Cool.
The year you were born, it's highly likely I was grabbing someone like him by the neck who was face down in a dodgy club, listening to music and inviting him to enjoy the sidewalk because he's not allowed in my club anymore.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah. So, yeah.
I was likely at home playing video games.
Nerd.
Nerd.
Yeah. Any other bad advice gets given out? I have actually been scrolling bad advice chat things on my screen.
Oh, I've got one that drives me up the fucking wall.
Go on then.
Don't over-prepare your world. You're not here writing a novel. Go write a novel if you're frustrated about your world. Like, holy fuck. You want to play in my campaign world. You want it to feel alive and vibrant. But if I put too much lore in it, well, now I'm wasting your time somehow, and I'm the fucking bad guy for putting this effort into a game for you. Let me ask you a question, Iman and John. Has the world lore been particularly offensive and abusive and hard for you to digest in the Albana game?
The key is you've never given us one of those half-an-hour lore dumps.
No.
Things have come out in play. And
They
that's how it
should.
be. That's how it should be. That's the key. Yeah, do all the preparation you want to do for your world, however much you want to do. And in fact, the more you do, the more cohesive the world will feel. But don't dump it all on your players. Don't expect your players to read 50 pages.
And if they
read
do,
a little
appreciate them.
but expect them to read a little bit, enough to play their character, and but if you, I'm getting the taps being too loud. If you, if you prepare tons, just be sparing in how you give out the information. Give it out when it matters.
Yeah.
And if you've got it prepared, it'll be there on the tip of your tongue, ready to bring into play as and when required. Just don't feel like you need to get it all out there.
But again, you're going to run into players who will read all the lore. Coco is a perfect example. Coco, in the I think it was the heroic game on Friday nights, he sent me a message and about some stuff, and I'm like, dude, you actually read the material? He goes, you wrote it. I guess as a player, I should read it, right? And I was like, blah, 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 blah. Well, who are you? Well, I've never players like you don't exist. What are you talking about? This is amazing. Thank you. It really, really made me, as the referee, as the game master, feel appreciated for my efforts.
I'm going to bring up Donna's comment here. Not everyone will have seen it. 'Cause I think it's in your chat, isn't it,
Yeah, it's
Sean?
my chat.
Who's got things going on in their background at the moment?
Actionard.
Exnard.
Oh, I just set down my microphone on my table.
Yep, that's where that was. Yes.
Um,
Well, when the players are killing your exposition NPCs, I guess they're not going to get that critical information they're going to need to survive the deadly dungeon. Now, are they?
What do you mean there's zombies crawling out of the sewers? My character was just going to the inn. Well, had you not killed the NPC, you might have learned that there were zombies invasions happening, you fool.
Oh,
zombies
it's like
bring us-
the role-playing equivalent.
Those zombies
of just
crawling out.
it's a cutscene in a video game.
Those zombies crawling out of the sewers look a lot like those NPCs you just killed.
Do you let me cast us back to when we talked about the players giving you rope. Yank that rope. Yank that. And watch them dangle.
I caused a TPK because the players interrupted a villain's monologue where he was literally going to spell out how to beat him, and they killed him before he got to that point, or they attacked him before he got to that point, and then they couldn't figure out how to beat him. It was very funny.
That's so funny. I like that a lot.
Nice.
I approve.
Yeah.
Indeed. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if you don't mind them killing them, that's fine. But actions should have consequences.
I
Actions
believe
should
I
have
said that
consequences.
earlier.
Yeah. Something we have discussed. Yeah.
One of the best I ever
Actions.
saw in my life is we were playing a game of D&D. This is in college, and we were meeting with the Lord, and the Lordling was there as well, and he was being very, very, very just rude and offensive because as a little noble child, young nobleman can be. And one of the players who was playing a dwarf turns to the other player who speaks Dwarvish and goes, "Wow, if I were them, I would just spank him and be done with it, or ban him." And you just start talking shit about the Lordling. And I'm like, I recall distinctly when we were given the information on this kingdom, how the Lord has a great connection to the Dwarvish community because they've helped him with his army and da da da. I'm like, let's see if the Lordling or the Lord speaks Dwarvish. And the Lord did speak Dwarvish, so he heard everything the guy just said right in front of him, rudely in another language. And, gallows time for you. And the player was spare. He was accusing the GM of cheating and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, why are you having a hissy fit? You act like a twat. Twat. You got caught for acting like a twat. And now your character is swinging from a rope. Because it's medieval times, baby. There's no jury of peers.
No.
Donna goes on to say, like a designer's NPC scene takes, let's say, 40 minutes to think it up. It takes the players 2 seconds to change it all. Here's I think the mistake, and this will come with experience. It will come with confidence. Bear, how long do you spend preparing individual NPC scenes?
I don't anymore.
There you go.
I used to. Oh, I used to invest time and effort and heart and soul into my NPCs, but then I just give them a funny voice and see what happens. And that's how characters like Conquistador become the most beloved NPC I've ever introduced in a campaign, because everyone tweaked to his Ricardo Montalban voice. But I didn't put a lot of effort into him. I put down like 3 jotted notes about who he was, wrote up his powers, and off we went.
What was probably one of my character Devere's most memorable scenes in Codex Albana so far was the dressing down he got at the very
From
start.
the Walrus. Yeah.
How much preparation went into that?
I believe I thought up that on the moment, on the fly, as you were heading back to your camp. I was like, well, this is not going to go easily for him.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what Bear's done is he's put a lot of work into his world building, so he's able to improvise based on his work that he's already done. But specific scenes and specific events then do not need a lot of prep. You just improvise with the framework you've already got in place.
There's a meme about it, right? Which is the DM going, you look into the bar. What do we see? You see some barmaids and some local workers and a gnome or a goblin sitting in the corner tying his shoes, and then in the back there's a mysterious figure wearing a hood, and the shadows catch his eyes. Well, oh, let's talk to the goblin. And then the GM's upset because they're not talking to his quest-giving NPC. Funk that very much. Roll with it. Make the goblin send them on a pointless quest and waste their time and have fun watching them take the quest for my lost pet frog, Bobby. And, them trying to hunt down this one frog. And every time have them bring back a frog to the goblin. The goblin go, that's not Bobby. And then they kept, but they chose this path. Run with the path the players choose. Always. Always. And meanwhile, the Dark Lord has risen up. The dead are walking the world. The kingdom is being overthrown. Oh, look, we came back with our frog. We think we found Bobby this time. Why is the village burnt to the ground? Who are all these skeletons?
If I may, as Donna is writing in the chat, in regards for assistance for newer DMs when it comes to improv, I have had a very long, very hard journey coming to the point of where I am comfortable improvising. I would be preparing entire sessions, 2 or 3 sessions in advance for how rigid I would be. Yeah, I was very railroady with these things, and I was very much down to here's how it's going to be going with multiple paths, multiple. This is one of the reasons why I went into like flow charts, and I would basically try and map out the routes that the players could or would go. It is difficult to give assistance because a lot of this is something you learn through blood, sweat, and tears. At least that's how I did it. I would have disruptive players who would do exactly what you would do, Donovan, and it would frustrate me. And I would ultimately I went down the route of, I will just take the information I prepared for this NPC that I spent 40 minutes. I'll just move it to another NPC, and I'll just keep that going so that I am not wasting my time. But as I found that the players would continue to do this, I went, right, I will let you play the world, and I will let the world live. And then as it gets to the point of where you fall off a cliff, and the rope you've been giving me hangs you, that's where it sort of developed. And that's why I've become the DM I am today. And I regret nothing.
And so I would say
the players, this became the whole save versus Saxious because I found I will not tolerate it, but I will let the players hang themselves. And I can then categorically and with a borderline Wikipedia knowledge go through and highlight why they were the cause of their own death.
Yeah, and General Nutt's 100% right on that. And I think I have seen GMs talk about Sun Tzu. I've seen them talk about Machiavelli's The Prince. I've seen them talk about all these ways and philosophies of how to be a great GM and handle situations. And the only thing I ever need was Robbie Burns. The best laid plans of mice and men Afgang Agley. And once I learned that and knew that and understood it, I was no longer invested to the point where I had to have my shit happen. I'm just going to react to the player's shit and see what goes down.
That's the exciting part. That's where as DMs we have fun because then we get to be surprised. We get to see what happens, and we get to be challenged because sometimes players will do things that we have to justify on the fly. Like we have to justify die rolls for reactions that should have been positive, which were negative, or vice versa. And we get to have fun with it, and the story and everything goes in a direction that we couldn't anticipate, and that's great.
I know it's Robert Burns, but I like calling him Robbie because then people get all like, "Who's that?"
Robbie Burns.
Robbie Burns. Hey.
All right, I'm just gonna get a few things out here.
I thought you were like trying to fix a broken shelf. I'm like, what's he doing?
No. I think what Donna's talking about here is one of the problems I've found with a lot of pre-published material since Dragonlance came out. That
we have Kitty.
Hello, kitty cat. There's a lot of adventures that live or die on scripted content. And when the players are let loose on those adventures, the scripted content just goes out the window. It doesn't feel right. It gets interrupted. It doesn't always feel as if it fits what's been happening. And this is, and I'm sure Sean will agree with me here. This is why, for example, why that is an excellent adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Because none of it is scripted.
Well, the opening salvo is reading the entry of their arrival to Hamlet is this massive block of text, which I usually toss out the window. But
yeah, but that's it. That along the same sort of lines, and there's more adventure in these ones, but there's no script.
I have a module where it is practically scripted, but it is excellent. Red Hand of Doom.
Okay. 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 But yeah, some scripted stuff can be okay, but I find certainly a lot of, as it's not the case with every 5e adventure I've ever read, but there's a lot more scripting in those adventures than there was back in the older adventures. There's a lot more page count given up to very specific NPC descriptions, what the NPCs want, and all that sort of stuff, and specific storylines that they're trying to push, rather than just drop them in the form of plot hooks, ideas.
there are definitely a lot of modules that are very linear, and yes, you have to hit the beats. Yeah. They can still work if you're willing to let them go by the wayside and just be completely derailed, and have the ability to improvise around that.
So, how did we get onto the topic of Robbie Burns in chat?
That was Bear.
Okay.
It was Robert
Scottish Burns. Robert Burns, Scottish poet.
No
Speaking
idea.
of Scottish poets, we haven't seen Ralph in ages. Yes. I think we're pretty much done with with these topics tonight.
I don't have any other.
We're at the brain fried stage. Now we can
We
ramble.
are, yes. We are. We can ramble. We
I
can
definitely
ramble.
am.
Yeah. Work's been frying my brain a lot recently. Remember I went through all those issues with a certain member of staff who I was training up every weekend, and eventually we sort of let her loose. She handed in a notice last week. We've got to replace her. So I've got to go through all that training again. Oh, God. Because she said she could do too many hours, and it turned out she couldn't cope.
So we used to run into that all the time when I was a trainer at the call center. Oh, absolutely, I can work weekends, I can work night shifts, whatever you need. Absolutely, I need the job. I'm so excited. Within 1 week, I can't do weekends. Can I have nights off? Can I have a Monday to Friday 8 to 4 schedule? Like, it's insane. People lie to get jobs.
Yes. Yeah, we took her on specifically to do Saturdays and Sundays as part of a 2-person team in the shop. Saturdays and Sundays.
What you paying? What are you paying over there?
It's minimum wage. It's shop work.
Well, then,
Yeah.
you're going to get minimum employees.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, here's a question for me. What are the qualities of my ideal player? Someone who listens to my nonsense and engages with my nonsense. That's it. I don't need you to know the rules. I don't care if you know the rules. I just want you to work with the nonsense I present and put your own twist on it and help me develop it.
Has a good head of gray hair, a background full of books and glasses. Yeah, that's the ideal player.
Or do I just need to shift my camera a little bit? Then I can get my shelf of goodies.
Here you are.
Yes.
For me, a good player is someone who's willing to invest and make an effort and be part of the game and show up on time, take it just seriously enough that they're not wasting anybody's time.
Pretty much. That's another way of saying what I said. Engage with the game.
Yeah. Okay, so we agree. What? Were you angry?
We agree. Yeah, we know. No,
My
we agree.
God, man.
We agree.
You know what we should do? You're going to be here one of the nights at CleriCon, the three of us and maybe Slan or someone. We should all get together and have a game. Just a one-off.
Are we going to have time in the schedule to do that?
Do you know what sleep is, old man?
Yes.
We're not getting any.
I mean, yeah. Who wants to run it?
Okay, there we go.
Till next year when
I
I'm
want
there.
Coco. I want a team of Cocos. That's what I want. Hey, Coco, what's up, man? I think Sean should run us through some D&D. Because that's the only way we can play like a short one-off game, because he'll kill us really quickly.
If you're willing to stick around Monday, you can join in the AD&D Night Below game.
Sorry, I'm coming back to Montreal Sunday night with Slan.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Yeah. Fine, whatever. Let's just play at the tables.
Sorry. No, that's the
Whatever.
weekend is full.
What time does
Why
the
don't
con
you-
wrap up at night?
5.
5 p.m.
Yeah.
You're telling me we can't find a 7 to 9 window after 5 p.m. to do something?
Oh, I can, but if you're driving to Montreal, you've got a 6-7 hour
I mean like on Saturday night or something. And then
no, the Saturday goes to midnight.
Oh dear God.
Yep.
Yes.
Friday night, midnight as well, I'm assuming.
I'm already signed up for a table at on Saturday evening.
What time are we all planning on getting to the con?
I was gonna. Well, I have to pick up. I got to talk to John from Tale of the Manicore as well because I'd promised him a ride. But I was thinking we'll drop our stuff off at my aunt's and then head down probably for 4 or 5-ish, maybe a little earlier because I think he opens festivities at 5.
Yeah, I think Slan's picking me up early in the morning, and then we're driving up, and we've got about a 5 or 6 hour, well, probably 6 or 7 hour drive ahead of us.
So it sounds like we're all going to turn up late afternoon, doesn't it? Really?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then we have the meal, and then it's
opening game. Yeah.
Opening game, yeah.
Which I'm not signed up for anything until my game on Sunday, so I'm just going to wander around and look at people.
Oh, you could just. I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, on the Friday night. Is Slan playing in that game on Friday night? Have you got the list?
What's the game on Friday night?
Dungeon Minister's running.
Game.
Oh, sorry, I'm being attacked by a giant cat.
I don't know if he didn't put a cap on it last year, and we had something like 15 players.
That
So
just sounds like pure chaos.
it went pretty well, actually.
Oh God, let's not get into politics. In fact,
What the fuck? That's from my channel. You can get the fuck out is what you can do, buddy.
yeah, I can't do anything with that comment.
I can fuck, and I'm about to.
What was the comment?
What?
No.
Something anti-Semitic, and let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
No, it's not from my
Didn't see
channel.
it.
Wait a minute. What the fuck?
It's not on mine.
Whose channel is that from? It's not mine.
It's one of your two.
No, it's definitely not
Oh,
mine.
there he is. There he is. Goodbye. Take care. See you later. Don't let the fucking door hit you where the good Lord split you.
This is not the time or place for such conversations. We talk.
No shit.
This is our escape.
Yes. So, yeah, that's one thing we don't do on these. We don't delve into real world issues and politics. So,
No shit.
anyway, with that out of the way, let's go back to talking con. What's for dinner on the Friday night? Do we know yet?
Yes, sliced orc.
Oh, excellent.
Sliced orc. Ooh. I was hoping for roast beast.
Yeah, no, he had. They made it last year. They made a ham. I think he's expanded the menu this year, but last year it was a glazed ham, which he called I think roast orc or sliced orc or something like that.
Had the P been rubbed out at the start?
Yeah, and then he's not the only one doing an opening night game though. I think there's another one going on as well. Last year it was just his game, but obviously it's a little bigger. I think he's got more people. I don't know how much bigger. I think maybe 30% more numbers. Maybe you'd have to ask him. He can confirm.
Well, he's got 10
and
players.
Dirty History and Hobbies. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? That's the rules.
I mean, Dungeon Master's a nice bloke. He's very.
Oh, he's very nice. Very, very nice. Now, technically, he has to be because his employer is like very strict. And he's always on the clock.
He is, yes. But I've got no idea what's for pudding. Yes, it's 10 people signed up to his game on the Friday night.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm still trying to get my brain around having 8 players at my game.
Well, the room can be noisy too, so yeah, be prepared to use your radio voice.
I will indeed use. I won't use my radio voice. I'll use my theater voice.
Your theater voice, yes.
Hit the back wall.
I'm just thinking of things. I mean, I'm planning on. When I run the Call of Cthulhu game, I all the players are going to need to name their characters. They're going to come up with the names. I'm going to take little cardboard things for them to write their characters' names on. But the one thing I'm worried about such a busy room is losing atmosphere.
Yeah, but it's a con game. It's not a regular game, right?
No.
Like I'm running a very specific 3-act superhero game that has like a middle, beginning, and end. That's it. That's all. There's not going to be a lot of room for side questing. You know what I mean?
There's no side questing in my one, but I'm obviously going to have to expand it because it was written for typically 4 characters. So doubling that, we're just going to have more enemies. Just going to get nastier. Simple as that.
I'm doing the same
versus
thing.
poison.
Sorry?
I said save versus poison. That's how you get them whittled down.
Yeah. I'm doing the same thing I did last year. It's they'll have a task, but how they go about the task is entirely I guess your business because you're going to be in one, John. So other than that, it's still open world, right? So failure is on the table.
So we have Donna asking a question.
Do you want me to start on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
I hate it in a gaming session. It's a distraction.
Watch the episode of the IT Crowd, Dawn of the Fredo, where Moss is trying to run his D&D game, but he's got the wrong music queued up. No, that's not it. Hang on, wait. Every time I've played a game where someone uses music, that's what happens.
Yeah, if the music is specifically tied into events that you were expecting to happen, it'll never work. If you want a little something on low in the background that's not disturbing, that's thematically appropriate, I'm okay with that. I've done that.
I'm not. All music is disturbing for me, I'm afraid.
Right. Well, that's about the extent of it for me. Like we'll put on the Lord of the Rings soundtrack and it's on low and it's there, it's present, but it's not overpowering, then fine, sure. And it's not required that, as you say, you have to tie it in. It's like, okay, you're fighting the big bad, now I'm gonna hit you with the Conan Anvil of Crom music for the big final battle. No, none of that.
Yeah, because that song lasts 5 minutes and the fight's gonna last 80. But anyway, the only time I've ever seen music work, we were playing Cyberpunk one time. I was running the game and my roommate Glenn played the DJ at the club. And he set up his little system with his mixer, and he just sat there playing music to what everybody else was doing all night. And then they kept going back to him for stuff, and he'd give them information, whatever, and then they'd leave again. And he'd just play music on the spot, reacting to them. And that was kind of cool. But it took a player who was dedicated to be a DJ at that point in time. It was his idea. I was happy to run with it. But otherwise, it's always just nonsense.
Well, if you're the DM, you've got other things to think about aside from fiddling with whatever device is going to control the music.
I recommend going to tabletop audio. Each track is about 10 minutes long. You can have anywhere from music, or you can have ambience that will then set the background mood. That's where I go and I get all of my music from. and then that's what I do. I don't do music as in like music from the radio or anything like that. I use something to bring in the mood, the ambience, to bring in the tone of what the players are going through, and I know my top 10 ones that I usually go for whenever I need the different variations, and then from there I'll then go find what the latest ones are, test them out, see if I can work with them, and then go from there. I think it enhances my games fantastically, but I run the majority of my games online. My real life one, well, I'm not about to buy a portable speaker just for that.
No.
Maybe with one exception. Now that we're going to be doing a Pirates of the Caribbean theme, we're going to need to blast out that theme song.
I mean, I agree with Per saying that music helps get into an atmosphere. If I listen to something beforehand, and I will commonly listen to music before I run a game or play in a game. But bear in mind, this is letting you into my psyche a little bit here. I like very dark music.
No.
Very dark music.
Given our conversations about 80s music, I cannot believe you, sir.
And I like running darkly horrific games. And I like playing in darkly horrific games. So it does help me get into the mindset.
That is so contrasting to your
I
personality.
know. Nothing he's ever said on this channel would ever lead me to believe any of these things about him to be true.
Mm.
No, they're true.
Well played, Iman. Well played.
I mean, given that my favourite band of all time are best known for the lead singer committing suicide and being utterly depressed, and
New Order?
Joy Division.
Joy Division. Oh,
Yeah.
Whoa. Damn.
Oh, yes.
Talk about an ironic name.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like my music very, very dark. So that it gets me into the mindset before a game, but during the game, no. For me, music exists for me to lose myself into it. It never exists in the background. There's no such thing as background music in my head.
Cool.
No, I'll listen to music when I'm writing. When I'm working on my campaign or my thing, I put on music relative to that topic. It's why I wound up making a whole bunch of music for my superhero campaign using AI, so that way I can have stuff that is going to keep me in that mood while I'm writing and keeps me formatting that way. If I'm listening to fantasy, well, depends what kind of fantasy, but I've got a couple of playlists on YouTube I throw up for that. And now for Cyberpunk, I've used AI to just make a whole bunch of retro synthwave, dark wave, and stuff like that I can just put on loop and listen to while I'm working on my Cyberpunk stuff.
The only time I ever have background music on is when I'm cooking, because cooking, there are often gaps, and so I fill that in leaping around the kitchen. My current favourite for Alexa in our kitchen is Totally Wired by The Fall.
Now, what about Steve Cavazos' question?
Music and overwhelm, I agree. What about slideshows of NPCs, places, and encounters?
Slideshow sounds like effort to me. No, thank you.
Sean is minimal effort DMing.
Excel and PowerPoint in the same game? Oh boy.
Saxios will love that. I Tuesday night Call of Cthulhu, I just use a few handouts that I snip from a PDF of the adventure. That's it. I like to rely on my voice. It's as simple as that. I might throw a little bit of artwork from the adventure into the Discord chat just to help demonstrate a few bits and pieces. But the rest comes from my voice. That's it.
No, I like to have character art for the important NPCs or things that need to be visual, but otherwise I'm okay.
I'm not fussed by that. If there's a picture in the adventure of a certain individual that they're interacting with, I might throw that up. But otherwise, I'll just describe what's going on. I did make a bit of a mistake on Tuesday that I didn't describe a villain really enough. That was the assailant on the train.
Mhm.
But it all happened in the blink of an eye. So all they knew really is that he was dressed like a member of the train staff, and he had an Eastern European look to him, because it all happened very quickly.
Wait, repeat that. Is this the one where they were in Sofia?
On the train on the way to Sofia.
And he had an Eastern European look to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
People
Okay.
can look Eastern European. There is.
In Eastern Europe.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
it. That was it. But no, most of the staff on the train are not Eastern European, though, are they? It's French.
I don't know. Okay, they're French. Okay.
Yeah.
It was just like you are in Eastern Europe and you see Eastern Europeans. I was just trying to like connect what I was missing.
There's very few Eastern Europeans on the train. There might be a few Turks, but mostly French. So there is a difference. Anyway, I think we're just about coming to the end of the stream.
It's
thank
pumpkin
you
hour
all.
for John. Although you're gonna have
It
to
is.
start getting used to staying up a little later.
I am, yes, but I have work tomorrow. I have work Friday. I have work Saturday. I don't have work this Sunday, apart from the evening, which I always do. I don't have to be up on Sunday morning, which is nice. But thank you, fellas, for joining me. Shill your channels. Shill your channels.
Saxious.
Okay, or don't.
I mean, I'm the accounting DM, also known as Saxius. I'm in the process of making several videos and breakdowns for how you can integrate Excel and mind flows into your games for optimizing your fun.
Because fun is meant to be optimized.
I will, with the power of mathematics, I will
He
show you
excels
the
at it.
formula of how you make fun
And
of your
Excel.
games.
And maybe even PowerPoint now.
I am tempted. And
Please.
hey,
You can only get so erect.
listen, I was already working on pivot tables and charts to be brought in next, but this has to be the next project.
Sean.
I'm Sean with Mage's Musings. If you like game recaps and you like puppetry, come watch my show. Yes, I've got a ton of recaps in the queue. One hopefully coming out in the next couple of days by this weekend. It's gonna be my longest video yet. It's almost a half an hour. I don't like them that long, but sometimes you just got to get it all out. So yes, Mage's Musings with the puppet Merlinster Gendeldor and game recaps and Theorycraft.
Bear.
I don't have a channel. Get off my lawn. Leave me alone, you crazy kids.
Oh, and he has a Patreon with some really fantastic, awesome heroic stuff, which is very accessible for many people. For just $5 a month, you can get more heroes, more villains, more vigilantes than you know what to do with. And I'm speaking from experience.
There you speak with forked tongue. IQ?
Hi. It's me, your favorite nuisance. I stream sometimes on Sundays, depending on internet and if I'm awake. So there you go.
Xnard, you popped in. I don't believe you have a channel. I don't.
No, but I have some published blogs that are kind of fringe. RPGresources.wordpress.com, I think it was called.
Well, I mean, if you want to pop them up in my Discord, you're more than welcome to put the links in there. And I know you don't use Discord. I'm trying to prod you to join the Discord, get involved. But I'll happily put the links up if you want to send me them. So yeah, if you want to send me the links, then you're more than welcome.
RPG Roundtable Resources.wordpress.com.
Okay.
And
I
hey,
might
for
have
everybody
got
in Florida, be safe,
Absolutely.
please.
Absolutely. And of course, I'm the old geek. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of Lovecraft read-throughs, and I originally made my channel doing reviews of AD&D and D&D adventures. I am currently doing a series of shorts, condensing what I put in those reviews, just to get new eyes on the channel. But they've been going down very well. Apart from the ones where I say a product's crap, and they get lots of downvotes. People don't like it when I say things crap, but that's what happens. Anyway, if you want to play some games with me and some of these fellas, we play games mostly on Discord, sometimes on YouTube, and we're going to be playing games at Clericon at the end of this month. But for now, thank you everybody in chat. Thank you everybody. Lots of contributions in chat tonight. Cheers all, and I shall see you all soon. Good night.
Thank you.